Welcome everyone to the FATED RPG Podcast, episode 139. We are just a couple of days in the 3.25 expansion, Settlers of Kalguur, which seems very promising so far. I've heard a lot of people say good things. I've had a lot of people say different things, like there's tons of things to do. We have vegetables to farm, mines to ore, bars to smelt, and shipments to be done. And today we're going to discuss all our first impressions of the league, the best shipping strats that we found so far, and how's the league been treating us? And for that, I welcome the co-host BalorMage. How are you doing?
Hey, fantastically. I'm actually in love with the league. This is my favorite. I can't wait to see what I'm doing like 4 days from now with my city.
Yeah, I can't wait. Let's get our guests in, shall we? We are joined today by none other than the one and only Lighty. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Pretty okay. And I see you will milk for gold. What are you milking? Cows? Goats? Sheep?
Anybody who has gold. As long as I get my gold.
Yep, that's fair.
All right. Let's see if TalkativeTri has some gold. You got any gold, sir?
Not yet, because I am behind due to playing hardcore for the first time ever, but still enjoying the league as much as all of you. It's a good one.
Yeah, let's go right into our league starts. I think there's a little story to tell for everyone here. You decided to go hardcore on league start?
I did. I agreed with my chat, with my bingo board for the reveal. If I got a bingo, I'd play hardcore up to Dominus. Well, I ended up almost getting 5 bingos on my card. No inside knowledge, I swear. So I played as long as I could in hardcore, got to Act 10, almost to Katava, called it a stream after about 12 and a half hours, recorded 2 minutes of footage, and died.
What did you die to? It's such a classic.
Nice.
I can relate to that so much because when I used to mainly play hardcore, it did happen. Not infrequently, multiple times that just after league start stream, I record a quick video and die in the video.
I feel like it's the classic, the Katava's Herald, all beefed up from the bismuth ore. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I had a tornado next to me. I basically got one tapped, and I was a gladiator with like 2,500 health, almost max block. I just died. It was rough.
Pain.
True.
But yeah, and then you restarted in softcore. You said.
Yeah, I'm in softcore. I'm nowhere near as far as all of you. I just got into white maps last night. I got 3 divine orb drops in 1 hour. 1 hour. No, in maps, white maps, 3 in a row. So it kind of funded like all of my stuff right now. I'm pretty happy.
So far up till now.
Ooh. How long have you played Balor?
Oh, hold on.
Oh, here we go. Slash played. We got the numbers.
3 hours I was AFK, so it's -3. It says 2 days and 18 hours played. Take away 3. So what is that? 15? 2 days and 15 hours?
Wow.
Yeah, I've been screwed this league, by the way. Also, my total amount of chaos is 160. There's nothing on the ground for me.
That's wild. My slash played is 12 hours and 30 minutes. 3 divines.
I have to check my
So,
slash play.
Sent more divines than me. 12 hours.
Hey, last league, I didn't get a divine altar. I think I had 4 raw drops, and I got 40 out of 40. So, how's it been treating you, Lighty? You as lucky as me, or no?
I have had 8 divines so far, but I'm also almost level 98, so I've been mapping a lot. But they also don't really help me too much at the moment. So since I'm in solo self-found, but
Very true.
cool to see. I'd rather have exalts, but
No, but that seems pretty good. To stack them up just so you have them when you do need them.
Yeah, like emotional support divines. Yeah.
I'll take them off your hands.
You can take them. You got gold.
What build
Actually, no.
are you playing,
I need more
Lighty?
gold.
I'm playing Perforated Bloodshed, max block gladiator. Pretty good. Basically immortal. So that feels nice.
What was that of Bloodshed? Which skill?
Perforate. I think the only fucking
Perforate
person playing
Gladiator.
Perforate, but you could. It's every single max block build is basically the same for bleed. You could just put in, lacerate, EQ, blades, storm. Doesn't really matter. Just they'll function effectively the same. But it's very good, very strong build. It feels like we got a triple damage buff pretty much, and the shield rolls are substantial for like the block and stuff. So yeah, no complaints here. I think they definitely succeeded in their job. Like if that was their goal to buff melee, it definitely feels like they buff melee.
You're also on a melee build, TalkativeTri, right?
Yep, lacerate of hemorrhaging. I'm a part of the, 18% of lacerate of hemorrhaging glads over there. I wasn't bold enough to do perforate. I tried it out in a practice run. I didn't like the animation of it necessarily. Yeah. So that's why I bounced from it. I need the skill to feel good. So I like lacerate better, even though I did the entire campaign with Sunder. And that skill feels busted.
Sunder's good.
Sunder feels so good, man.
Yeah, it does. So I'm with Lighty. I could probably swap out lacerate of hemorrhaging with any of those skills, and it would probably feel good on my build. So
I think EQ is probably the best, but I think it feels the clunkiest because it just has the highest top end potential. So if you're gonna do ruthless, fist of war, that sort of stuff. So if you're just fishing for a huge bleed, I think EQ just kind of wins. But to me, it feels the worst because you're dealing with the aftershock delay.
Right, the pulsing. I've never liked that. Yeah,
not a fan, but
I like the instant impact and reaction.
Yep. For sure.
What melee build have you tried, Balor?
Excuse me?
It's melee patch. You gotta try a melee build, right?
No, I don't need to play melee.
You don't need to play melee to be disappointed.
Yeah, maybe I'll try something at some point, but
it still feels melee. Like it just feels like melee, but with damage.
Like I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying you could add 2 zeros to the end of the DPS of a melee build, and you are still playing a melee build. It's just not for me.
Fair
I don't know. Maybe I'll try something at some point, but
you just like other things doing the work for you. That's why you really like Kingsmarch, right?
I do like Kingsmarch, but minions, bows, spells, they're all fun. Melee, I just never felt it.
That's so odd. Oh my. When's the last time you've tried melee? I'm curious. How long has it been? Years?
But here's the thing. It's not just a PoE thing. I don't want to play melee ever in any game ever.
He's the problem. You have to understand that. It's not the game.
I got it.
It's not it really is. It's just, I'm just anti-melee.
Didn't you play a melee build last time you played Gauntlet? Wasn't that like a chieftain something melee? Was I wrong? When I was a caster chieftain, right? It was like something fire trap. I
think it was
remember.
Fire trap.
Never mind then. But what I really wanted to aim for with the question, which melee build you tried, is your League starter plans. How did they go, and how did the dark marionettes turn out? Oh, that's a sad Balor. Sad face.
1 hour before the launch of the League, we found out through a data mine that dark marionettes had their respawn timer changed from 1 second to 4 seconds, which 100% obliterates the build. It's unplayable. It's nothing. It doesn't exist anymore. So
it's a very unfortunate, undocumented change. Kind of. It's a bummer.
It is very, very, very sad. Also incredibly sad that they didn't tell us that was happening, since I spent several hours working on a path of building for it, had League start plans for it, put out videos for it, did all the math, did all the everything. Hours I could have spent doing other builds for other people, or helping more people, or building more trees, or refining other guides better. But an hour before League
really
start,
does sound harsh.
Ruined.
Would 2
4 seconds from
okay?
1. 2 seconds, even with the extra specters right now that we got compared to last time would still have made the build around about 40% weaker. And it was never really OP to begin with. It was just really fun. If it went to 1.25 seconds, the damage with the extra specters because of the new helmet would have been the same as the patch I did it in. So that nerf would have countered the helmet if it went to 1.25. Anything over that makes it worse. I don't understand it. I'm not sure why the nerf happened, but we hard pivoted back into Holy Relic, which has been going great. So I'm happy with that. I'd be way more happy with it if I dropped more than 2 divines. It has been a slog. This is the poorest I have ever been. I only got a Diala's like 3 hours ago, right now, today. And they're only 5 div. It's taken me that long to earn
What
a
ascendancy
Diala's.
did you start with? Are you a guardian? Right?
Necro.
Necro. Okay. Got it. All right. Nice.
So I suppose you guys also want to hear about my league start.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, man, 100%.
hit us.
I decided I want to go with something very melee, and I've like last league I already, because of the Glacial Hammer of Shattering, which guarantees a crit every 3rd strike, right? I always was like, oh, I kind of want to make a Glacial Hammer build, and then I looked at what Goratha did, because Goratha actually played some Glacial Hammer builds in the last couple of patches, and he had a build guide out for this league start, and I used that as the foundation for my build. It's Slayer, and you use trauma stacking in order to, the Bone Shatter mechanic, but you have that as a support now on Glacial Hammer, in order to inflict self-damage and to massively buff the damage that you deal. The great thing about it is that for a really long time, you're able to get away using Frost Breath, the unique mace that deals double damage against chilled enemies, and that costs like 1 chaos, and it's really, really hard to replace. Until then, I was leveling 2-handers. I was actually Sunder as well until level 33. So Sunder feels amazing, man. But I was so curious, itching about the Glacial Hammer that I changed into Glacial Hammer. And what should I say? I really like Intimidating Cry for a long time. I had that because of the Intimidate, and then I got Auto Exertion, put it on the Auto Exertion, so I lost the Intimidate, but I still gained the double damage, and it automatically comes up every so and so many times. And before I was using Frost Breath, that was actually great. And even when I switched to Frost Breath, I mean, on the first hit, enemies never fulfill the chill condition. You first need to hit them before they're chilled. So then you get the guaranteed double damage. So having Intimidating Cry exert up deals the double damage on the first hit already. So it really felt like going from pack to pack and one-tapping the pack, more or less.
Nice.
And like even tanky rares are great because of the Glacial Hammer Cull. But one thing I really didn't expect to like in the build is tinctures. Like, I thought, man, I hate tinctures. I hated tinctures when they were in Affliction, because I was like, I'm not sacrificing a Flask slot. That's way too strong, like, for defenses. And then I found, like, a prismatic tincture, like, as early as Act 2, like, eye level 21, and I used that until, like, yellow maps, because the prismatic tincture gives, like, up to 100% increased elemental damage with weapons during its effect, and then you can roll melee attack speed and melee weapon penetration and stuff like that on the suffix. So it.
Is that where it went?
Yeah.
Because it was taken away from Flask. Sorry for interrupting you, but it's cool that it was added to tinctures.
Yeah.
No, I had no idea. Great for context. Thanks for adding that.
Yeah.
But like, so for the longest time while leveling, I was using melee weapon attack speed on it, because it's a global melee weapon attack speed, so it also makes you leap slam faster. So that was really cool. 19% during tincture, and now I switched it against one that has 12% penetration. It's just a blast. Obviously, you press a tincture, it's up for 10 plus seconds. You get 12% penetration and 100% increased elemental damage of weapons. It feels so strong. And with a little bit of mana investment, like running a clarity and getting some reservation efficiency and all that, I'm comfortable. Really
I'm
nice.
curious. I'm not a part of Tinky Nation, so I haven't played with tinctures at all. Can you use instilling orbs on tinctures, or are they separate?
That's
I have no idea.
I don't know.
They're
about
not.
the
No,
trigger
they're not
orbs. You can-
flasks.
They're not
can
flasks, so you
bobble them.
can't.
Yeah.
But you can't.
You can bobble them. Oh, okay.
They
Interesting.
get quality, but
Yeah.
not any of the enchants or automations or anything.
The worst part is
okay.
you can't put them in the fucking tab. That's the part that really kills me.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
yeah. Come on. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
That's a really good point. You can't put them.
They'll
into
be
the
added.
class tab.
it'll be a hot fix. I don't know if you guys saw, but the patch last night for the currency exchange system, like
So
it actually
good.
had, it was really good. Like I was surprised. Like obviously they were just like, oh, duh, we should have added that. Let's go code that in there really quickly and make sure it's just a nice visual UI now. So sorry, Lighty, I know you don't get to experience it.
Well, to be fair, in the same vein, they did update it so when you're sending out shipments, you can see how many resources you have in the same window, which is one of those very nice functions that I very much appreciate.
There you go.
Wait, so the trade exchange shows you exactly how much currency you have of each kind.
Now it does, yeah.
In there. Oh, that's so cool because that was just requested like 2 days ago. Like someone said in my chat, oh, it should do that, and I was like, oh, they're probably gonna implement that. That's the kind of feedback they're looking for, right?
Oh yeah.
But I didn't expect them to do that so quickly.
So quick, yeah.
Mark's probably blasted and he's like, oh my god, I definitely need this right now. Let's get that in there, guys. On the production line. Let's go.
Oh man, yeah, like oh man, the quality of life in this patch is insane. The pickup range, the auto pickup for gold. Oh man.
That was the first thing I noticed. So you spawn on the beach, you enter the game, and the weapon drops in front of you. I clicked the weapon without moving,
don't move.
and I just picked. You don't move.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is insane!" It was just
such a game changer.
an aha moment. Yeah,
It broke me for a second. I didn't move, and I was like, "What's happening?
Where do I go?
Where did the weapon go? Oh, it's in my inventory. Oh, the range.
The problem with that is, especially for if you're not a new player, it's off-putting because the pickup range is totally different than the base interaction range. So if you try to use a door or a chest, you run up to it. But then when you're trying to loot, it's a totally different. I kind of wish they made the metrics uniform because it's definitely going to throw off people who are used to not having that. But if you're new, I can understand it's just like becomes base knowledge, but it's definitely an adjustment.
I
With
think
the aura,
the
the
waypoint
auras on
thing.
death. My God,
I think
heard
that's
auras
going to be
so
next.
often. Yeah,
I think we're going to get interaction, open the door, open a chest from that same distance. Because that feels really good. That's a good amount of distance.
Yep.
I still feel like I had to go to the item, but not like choose item.
Yeah. Same with talking to NPCs and the like, and other quality of like waypoints. I clicked on so many waypoints, I can't believe it.
I'm still moving gold. I'm still picking. I'm trying to click on gold when it drops, like constantly.
Did you see? They also added a fix so movement scales now allow you to pick up gold. Yeah, so that's very nice too. That was probably a thing that they just like didn't test because nobody plays Flicker at GGG. They're not playing that skill.
Oh yeah, so blink skills where you actually don't move, you don't have a travel distance, but you just appear somewhere else. Yeah, I noticed that really early that like when you stand on top of the gold, right? Like say you want to port out of a zone, you open a portal, you're standing on top of the portal, you don't need to move to click the portal. The monster walks up to you, you kill the monster, gold's on the ground, you click the portal and you pour it out without moving, and then the gold remains on the ground. Like that, I think that still needs to be changed. That the gold is auto picked up regardless of whether you move on top of it or not, as long as it's in your range. Right, but I think they wanted that so there's a visual feedback of the gold dropping on the ground, and that there's a time that is larger than 0 seconds that the gold is on the ground, so you have that feedback. But then it should still be auto picked up after like a second or two.
And I know we're hopping everywhere, but that's my surprise at the patch. Enjoying gold and like just loving the visual of it dropping, picking it up. Packs feel rewarding, and they've done a good job of making it be a necessary currency. Like I want to use my gold for the black market. I want to use it to upgrade my like it's an actual valuable resource, and it doesn't feel, at least for me, it doesn't feel bad spending it. Although I'm pretty laissez-faire about like optimizing everything. I know Kingsmarch is a huge sink for it, and we can talk about it later, but I gambled a lot of it away in the black market, guys. I did the bad thing.
I mean, fishing for bases has been very important, I think, in solo self-bound, using fastest for base fishing. And definitely to your point, gold has become the center of it's the driving force of most everything with the league mechanic and a lot of different interactions. I will say that the one thing that seems a little out of whack with the gold is respecking. I would never use gold on compared to Region of Regret.
It's actually it's super fine if you're doing it at level 50.
Yeah, early on, but the price gets redonkulous.
Yeah.
Like,
what is it at 98, Lighty? Right now, around.
How do I talk to Faustus to do it? I think, right?
Oh yeah, you got to talk about. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so one node is 22,000. So there's no.
Holy!
That's a little excessive. Last time I checked, it was like 4K for me. When
there's
I was
like no way.
That's crazy.
Like for one regret, you're out of your mind. So that I think you could probably just remove a decimal point and maybe it would be in the conversation. I understand the point of it. Like a big part of contention with PoE as an ARPG is the lack of flexibility for newer players early on compared to other games like Last Epoch, for example. There's a lot of room to kind of experiment, and you don't have the same level in PoE. So I understand that like at lower levels, like you're saying sub 60 maybe, using gold for respecking makes more sense, but like that number's a little wacky right now.
Even if you got rid of a decimal point there,
Yeah,
if you want to do any even like decent change, you need like 25, 30 points pretty often. You go, I'm just going to pull out of this area, go over here, and go into a cluster. It's like even at 2K, you're using 30 of them. Like, oh.
Wow. I would not have guessed that. I probably would have said 5,000 per node at 98. That's
also,
crazy.
I don't think you could do ascendancy points with gold.
No.
So, you know, probably
even if you could, it would be 100,000 per ascendancy
Well,
point at your point.
like that seems like a thing you'd want to mess with. I don't really understand so much why there's such an emphasis on a early game kind of tax like that for just like messing around. I mean, they could easily make even, you know, the amount of regrets to do ascendancy even pre-maps just could be free and it wouldn't even make a difference. Like just to try things, you know?
Well, when I was a new player, and I'm talking like 1 year ago, I still thought to respec ascendancies, you had to do the labyrinth and you had to respec them at the altar. I don't know why I thought this. But maybe they could do something like, I don't know, maybe you could use the gold if you do the labyrinth again. I don't know. Because they want to put a little bit of friction there. I know, with respecing. I'm surprised that they went this far, truly. After taking such a hard stance on all these topics for so long, like with trade, what happened? Did they just finally change their philosophy? Did they find a way where they could make it work in game? Because I know for the longest time, it was, we can't get a browser to work in game well.
I think I've talked to people who do like development that I don't think it was really ever a technical limitation. It was just, I think it was just like an ideology thing.
Excuse? Right.
Well, I don't say excuse. I just, PoE has a very staunch ideology for a lot of things. And that's one of the reasons why it's so great is because it holds true to its core values in a lot of ways. But with that comes a lot of rigidity especially for quality of life and new players. To your point, though, you could easily have it so just running lab gives you a respec of your ascendancy because that's a minor amount of friction that is at least infinite. So there's definitely wiggle room and like there's routes to take that can satisfy all parties. But 21,000 gold a point, I don't think is the answer.
Yeah, but I don't think it's supposed to be the answer. I think it's like supposed to be an option if you really insist on doing that. You don't have anything else to do with your gold. But the thing is just to make cheap regrets available early on in the league for people.
I'll sell every regret I have for half that.
Yeah, I think the alternative when it's such an egregious amount doesn't become remotely feasible. So it almost seems in a way like a noob trap, because like imagine if you were a newer player and you just accidentally burned 20,000 gold respecking 1 point.
Yeah, if you were accidentally a newer player who made it to level 98 and without gaining any
90
insight.
might be expensive. I have no idea. I didn't check it along the way. I'm just saying in general. There's no memes allowed.
Well,
no, that's a week 2 activity.
So I'm curious to you guys because like I said, I haven't progressed very far, so I don't know how much gold you can make. Imagine we're a month into the league. You've upgraded all of Kingsmarch. You're only paying wages. What's gold going to look like then? Is 22,000 per node a respectable amount then? Like, are we having millions, tens of millions of gold, or will we be taxed via everything else?
You probably have operating costs upwards of like 50k per hour at that point, right? When you fully maxed out.
Yeah.
I'm almost
That's how hard
maxed.
it gets?
Okay,
what are you at, Lighty?
Everything's level 10. So it's most things are 11. So it's but I think the Recombinator, that's the gold sink. Is everything's going to come to Recombinating. Like the next level for me is like 500,000 to upgrade. So that's going to be it. Like there's a lot of stuff you're not going to be doing. I think there comes a point where you probably just don't send ships because as we've all seen that like document where it breaks down what you're sending, 90% of that is kind of like chaff for Trade League. Probably you're going to be hunting like there's going to be a most effective whatever on average. So if you're just sending like short trips on ships for currency and like hoping to get a mage blood or something, the operating cost that's not very high, especially if you're sending only like, for example, in that situation, it's only dust and like crops. So you could just shut your mine off. Like you don't even have to really have it operating, or the smeltery, that's also down. Like you could not do map running if you want, and I think you could probably get your cost pretty low. And I can get up to 15,000 coins at a 16 right now per map. So it's
Okay.
I think it's gonna be okay. You're gonna have a lot, but recombinating costs a tremendous amount. So
Okay.
and it's also like recombinating now is significantly worse than recombinators then, from what I've seen.
Oh yeah.
The
Oh,
math
no.
is just totally different. Like whatever the preconceived notions we had based on the previous formula of matching things and how it operates, it seems to be like kind of a fresh start on how it works, because a lot of the benefits of the town also have like really high power levels. So I think they've kind of brought the base down, then brought it back up to the previous with the max town, because you have things like a chance to upgrade tier, which we didn't have at all before. So, you could put in a tier 2% fizz and get out a tier 1% fizz, which is great. But the odds of it just matching together is a lot lower, it seems.
Right.
So, that I think is the ultimate sync, which is, smashing 2 rares and getting a better one.
Also, my understanding is it can't take items that shouldn't be together anymore like it used to. So you can't put suppress on an energy shield piece or put 2 different essence mods on 2 different items and then slam them together, or any of the like cool fun things that recombinators were doing before. They're not there anymore.
I also don't think
Really?
there's recombinator exclusive roles. I haven't seen any of that yet. Like
There's none of
previously there
those.
was.
Yeah, that they explicitly talked about that those are gone. But the other stuff they were kind of vague about. They said it pretty much works.
They mentioned the
same,
base
right?
types. Like that's a big one. So you have to smash things that are the same like item together. So like Reaver X and Reaver X, right? I think the point of that was they don't want you getting +2 gems on an amulet and then just tossing it on a simplex. Like they don't. I think they want you to be using the items to make a better version of that thing. So there's a huge opportunity cost there. So if you want to get, some wild simplex and then toss that in a mist and get +8 gems on a simplex, that's going to cost you an arm and a leg each point of the way. So, there's going to be some wild things you can make with recombinators and mist, but it's just definitely a way more friction involved.
All right, so we moved rather quickly through the topics here. There were like a couple of things that I wanted to hook back to that we said earlier. Lighty, you brought up core values of Path of Exile and that they're very rigid with them. And one of the core values for Path of Exile, part of its identity was always that there was no gold, right? That there was always these different currencies that all have their individual use. And now we have a centralized currency which works towards the league rewards and fuels the league mechanic. And I personally think that it's really a great feeling to be able to do any sort of out-of-mapping content and to still gain gold that's relevant to me in terms of working towards league rewards. I had this meme where I went into Heist to unlock my Heist members, and my chat was like, why would you do Heist in this league? And the next one was like, why would you do Heist in any league?
Yeah.
But it felt okay because I was gaining gold in Heist. Do you guys think, honestly, they should have added the ore encounters maybe to out-of-map zones, like maybe Delve or Lab, or you think it's fine just getting gold?
I would like it to also have ore, but I've always been a big fan of like whatever the league is should be present everywhere. It's always annoyed me that it's not like in Delve and it's not in Heist and it's not in, like I do bladed maps, I don't get anything for that. And like, if you go to Lab, you don't get anything. And it's one of the contributing factors to me not doing any of those things. It's because I'm always trying to play for the new league, and the league is only ever progressible in any way or interactable in any way, usually in your maps. So I do really like the gold because now it's everywhere. I've been doing bladed maps. Like I'll probably do Delve. Could be convinced to go into Heist. Because I'll be able to get the stuff for the league mechanic. So yeah, I'm happy.
Hard agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Same here. And I think if they were adding it to all those areas to you guys, it would significantly iterate on the development time. Imagine all the league mechanics needing to work at 1,000 Delve depth, or what did Shitstain Steve get to? 62,000, something, whatever the limit is, like trying to make sure that it's balanced and not just completely broken in all those places. It probably takes a long time. So that's likely why they don't do it. Like I'm thinking back to Delirium. Imagine if there was somehow a mirror of Delirium somewhere, like in Delve or in the Labyrinth, stuff like that. But
if that gets messed up and Shitstain Steve ends up with a broken league mechanic after all that work, he's fucking welcome to it. Like, oh no, you can make a mirror every 15 minutes. Yeah, you know what? Good luck to everybody who can make it that deep. Congratulations. There's going to be a new meta race on with Delve. It's been a while since that was relevant anyway.
Yeah. But on your point, Kat, yeah, I love gold being in the game. That was the thing. I wasn't like excited about it. When I heard about it, I was like, okay, that's going to fuel some of this stuff. But just it being present, I'm a lot happier with. And I'm glad that building out PoE2 together, Mark, Jonathan, the rest of the GGG team, they realized, hey, you know, we didn't add this because, you know, it had different conceptions in other games and we didn't think it fit in PoE and we wanted to have this currency orb crafting system. But I think combined together, you know, they're not removing currency orbs. Just having gold on top for other systems in the game and having something that's universal and it drops everywhere and it constantly drops. It feels really good. I didn't expect that. I really didn't.
I think the important distinction is that it's not really gold. Like we're called
it's dinar.
Gold. They've made it look like gold.
Yeah.
We could have called it, pretend Delve didn't exist and just say it was Azerite. Name it something else. You don't have to. I'm not saying they should. I'm just meaning like it doesn't function like it does in other games. It's not even
player to player.
It doesn't even seem against the like philosophy of them saying, I don't want to add gold. Like it isn't a centralized currency. I can't trade it for you. It's not worth X amount of chaos. It's not worth X amount of divines. It's a thing connected to my like global account, I assume, or character. I'm not sure, to be honest, but it's like Azerite. Like it's a currency I have to get, but it didn't become like a centralized, like if we could trade gold right now, the auction house, the trade website, everything would be listed in gold. Your chaos would be worth gold. Your divine would be worth gold. The entire economy would be like, this is X gold. You make this Y gold per hour is this strat. Z gold per hour is this strat. And we would all hate it.
So I'm curious, Balor, you've had terrible luck this league.
Oh,
do you still feel good because you are progressing using gold in all these other various? That's the thing, right? Like you can have terrible luck, but they have now this universal that you're always going to be getting and always going to be able to use to progress or respec or gamble, whatever. You have this thing, whereas before you really relied, at least in like trade, you relied on getting divine orbs, chaos orbs, making money, blah, 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 farming some strategy to get rewarded a lot of the time, right? I think now with the universal of gold really helps it out. Like I loved gambling for items. I hate gambling in real life, you guys. Using gold in the black market was so much fun. I never gamble. Ask my wife. She cannot get me to do slots in the casino. I won't play blackjack, anything, nothing. But gold and PoE, oh, I was going hard. I was just gambling away. It was fun. It was really good.
Oh, I also, quick note, not everything fuels into the gold. Apparently Sanctum doesn't get gold. I didn't know that before. So I just pointed that out. So get fucked, Sanctum
really?
Well, they've got their own gold.
True.
Sort of
interesting.
Yep.
Would have been confusing. And Sanctum does have its own really good rewards. It just feels like if you go doing Sanctum now, you're wasting your time in terms of the league mechanic. Like it's already kind of weird because you can't find the ore mines in other, so you only get the gold that fuels into the league mechanic. But at least you're getting something, right? But yeah, like gold is not always the bottleneck, right? A lot of people tell me that they're bottlenecked on the ores actually.
Really? I haven't hit that at all. Yeah,
they're fucking up.
Well, they're probably not spending. They're probably not spending all their gold on recoms and like on
just not mapping enough.
Yep.
Just get back into maps.
Yeah, get out there.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, maybe temporarily you'll have a bottleneck of a high end resource for an upgrade after a large one, but that's yeah. Either you're sending too many shit. You have to treat this league essentially. The setup is effectively a city builder gacha game, which is you have to send all investment into resource gathering and infrastructure. Anything that requires you using a resource is the last thing you touch, and only when it's maxed. That's when it's most efficient. If you do that, then you'll only have an issue with gold as you're progressing, and then never again for the entire time. But that kind of sucks. This is why I was saying before the podcast started, Cat, like this is a league I feel like it's slightly like against the casual player in the sense that like the kind of feeling of like FOMO that Path has a lot of times, I think gets exacerbated by this league because interacting with the like fun parts of this mechanic when they're not even at a high level is like such a penalty versus interacting them at a high level. So it kind of feels
You mean
bad.
like using the recombination,
basically
the
at level 2,
runesmithing.
3, like it's so bad compared to. I mean, the runesmithing you don't even have access to. Forget the cost. You don't even have access to the actual higher end runes until it's leveled up. So you literally have to max that stuff. And it's really expensive. So that's where it takes a long time.
So small brain enjoyer of bad mechanics here. I've already like enjoyed just the shipments, and I think it's only like level 5, 6. And I've been seeing that sentiment a lot in like my comments, like on YouTube. I have like a casual audience, a lot of people who don't play a ton. You know, there are blasters, but there are a lot of non-blasters. They've really been enjoying it. Do you think that people just don't realize how much better it is at the high end? And they're kind of just, you know, enjoying it in the moment, and then they'll realize, or, you know, I'm just curious because I've liked it so far. But maybe once I get exposed,
like that's the most important part, and that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like everything I'm just saying
Yeah.
is irrelevant if your focus is fun.
Yeah.
Like, and that is the most important thing. In no way should you be playing Path or listening to any fucking buddy if you're having fun. Like that is all you should be doing is just enjoying your time playing the game, right? That's priority number one is fun. But if you're talking like what's the, you know, if the same person is asking about efficiency, about what's the best practice, that's where you could start to like, you know, put some math on it. And then there is just going to be like, if you're thinking long term, the first thing you should always do is upgrade your mine to 11 because that gives you passive gold, right? So like that's one of the things where if you don't care about that and you're only going to play for 30 hours in the league, fuck the mine. Like just send a couple boats out, get your character to 90, then quit until next league. That's fine too. Like, but if you're playing long term, like there is an order of operation if you value your time, I guess, more.
That makes sense. I wonder if this ties into it perhaps being a longer league than usual. That was my big prediction that people said was a 0%
Legacy
chance
league
of happening.
baby.
Was 6-month league
incoming.
Yep, boom. I think it's going to be a 6-month league. It, you know, this has a really long progression period. Even for, you know, people who are more into PoE like me, I feel like it's going to be a while before I max out the town. Usually I get like 40 out of 40 challenges in 3 weeks.
Just look at the shipment tree like the shipment map they show us is so sparse as far as what's there. I think they're going to probably add ports because there's literally only 5 ports that are marked in a huge map, and I think they're going to be adding way longer ports because they showcased in the reveal trailer this scenario that is basically been proven almost impossible, which is like 6-7 pages of loot, and like people have done millions of on a high end shipment and not gotten remotely close to that. So I think they're going to be adding like, you know, a whole other section to the map that's like way longer shipments and different things because there's so much room for opportunity with this league as far as the framework's just there. So
what if our towns end up at level 20 and they just like don't have everything released yet, intentionally?
Well, it caps at 11 currently, so you're hard.
What if like a week from now it's like 15 and then 2 weeks later it's 18 and then a week after that it's 20?
It definitely does seem like a league that is like basically a really nice framework to keep expanding on.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. And you'd predicted that beforehand that this was going to be a 6-month league, is what you're saying? Like this is going to go basically all the way until we get the PoE beta.
PoE 2, guys. It's gonna.
I don't posted that in like I tweeted like the second I saw the trailer. I was like, there's no way this is such a dump of stuff like that. I think there's no way it's a 3-month. I assume PoE 2. I mean, to say that PoE 2 beta is not going to be delayed is possible, but it's just been delayed every other step of the way. So if it is, that's fine. We have a great league to enjoy, and I think it's like you said. There's the framework is laid for it to be enjoyed for at least 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
If they want to do, they have that kind of leeway to just like let it rock.
Yeah, and the last time they added content mid-league or, you know, a few weeks in, I think it was Sanctum, and that was awesome with the challenge relics and everything.
Yep.
I'd love if they did something like that, you know, 3-4 weeks in to reinvigorate the player base, added a bunch of new ports. I didn't know there was only 5. I already have 4 unlocked, and the last one I think is Kalguur that I have to unlock, and that's it.
It's about that one takes 5 hours to send a ship out in. And it has a lot of nice things. You can get a full page of I-86 ward bases, which are insanely strong at the moment for certain builds.
Whoa.
So
Okay.
like, you know, from that, you just like getting high level gear is so free from the mechanic. So I was kind of concerned they added the new bases because I was like, are these gonna be locked behind 17s? Like, how is this gonna feel? Turns out the problem was fucking baubles. Like, you know, who knew? But it's like,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
the things that kind of hit us was a little different than expected. But getting
I still don't have
I-86
automated
pretty easy.
flasks, by the way.
Yeah, I just qualified my flasks out after, you know, level 97. So
Forget quality. Mine aren't even automated yet.
It's 2.5 baubles for every 1 chaos right now, I think.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Too expensive. I haven't dropped anything on the floor. I've been broke. I just haven't been able to warrant automating my flasks yet.
Flask recipe, Balor. You got to do it. Come on.
I've been doing it. I put
Oh,
it
you've
back
been
on the filter.
Oh, no.
truly rock
Stuff
bottom.
like that really feels bad when you compare it to your memories of the past league. But we gotta keep in mind we're just like a couple of days in. This is week 1, and in the long run, I think this is better for the economy. Those things will retain value for longer, and they just feel more impactful when they actually do drop, right? And this is all in the vein of like making loot feel good again in Path of Exile, because we had way too much and everything feels inflated and worthless. And I think they're doing a good job dialing it back one by one.
Yeah, I think my favorite Reddit post of the league so far was somebody, like, the title was like, I literally started shaking and crying when I saw this, and it's a picture of 2 glass blowers baubles on the ground with like the mirror of Kalandra loot filter on them. Oh, it's a good post. Some of the posts on the Reddit are absolutely hilarious. So, but yeah, I agree. Go for it, Kat.
No, I just wanted to say here in chat, Guitaraholic pointed out that he up baubles to swings on his filter. They actually make the wing sound when they drop.
Yeah.
Found that funny.
Yeah, that's good.
But you were saying try before I.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, I feel like upgrading flasks is always the number one thing I try to do when I get to maps. You know, when I get my first big drop, just to automate everything. And that's a very powerful step. I'm battling with myself. Was it too fast before? Was it not too fast? I don't know. I really like the quality of life it puts in the game, because I don't like pressing 2, 3, 4, 5 constantly. Like
here's the thing.
I don't know.
Everything else they've done, a fan of. They've definitely slowed us down quite a bit, and I am a fan of all of it. My hands hurt again, and they haven't been hurting, especially not in the first few days in many leagues since they fixed the flasks. It's been significantly better. My hands hurt again. I'm doing this every single 3 seconds. I'm and I don't want to. It hurts. Stop it. Give me back my baubles. But everything else definitely slowing me down. Definitely things seem harder. I don't know if that's because I'm broke or not, but all of chat seems to think everything is a bit slower and a bit harder and we're a bit weaker, but everyone still seems fine with it. I'm on board with all of it, not the baubles. Please, my hands hurt. Please.
I feel you. You should just try to get a divine drop, man. Come on. Skill issue.
Listen, I'm running blighted maps while we're doing this. I say running. It's doing a blighted map right now. I don't have to do it. I build towers for 45 seconds and then you stand there and wait.
Beautiful.
Silly question. The answer is probably no, but can you like let your mappers run blighted maps in the league mechanic?
I don't think so.
No.
They'd probably fail. They can't, like build the towers.
Well, to be fair, the mappers are very capable, and I have been in love with the little stories that are told when you look at their loot, because I've seen mappers. One of mine got a unique small cluster, which means omniphobia spawned into the map and they killed it. So that guy was putting in overtime. Someone sent me a screenshot that they had a tainted catalyst, which implies that a mapper hit an ultimatum, spawned a trial master, killed it, and then got a tainted catalyst, which I didn't even know was possible.
That's cool.
So I'm curious, like, you should be able to get things like harvest boss uniques, because the harvest can spawn on a map, they can kill it, they can get it. So like anything that can naturally spawn on a map should be on the preview. Abyss uniques, I assume that's going to be like on there, like things like that. They could technically hit because it's effectively a map spawn. So there's some wacky things you could get from them, and it's really funny because you'll see them like, this guy did a map that had a blight and harvest, and he's his atlas is fucked, but he's having a great time, so that's fine. Yeah, that's been a really
That's
cool
such a
system,
great point. Yeah, the stories that they tell, that's a really good point. I didn't realize. Imagine, what does that look like on the back end? I don't even know. Like, how did they design that? Like,
Certainly
that
a
must
full simulation of an AI mapper running through a map.
something.
I don't think it's that big of a deal.
You don't think?
Because, well, here's what I think, which is, just to be clear, talking out of my ass, because I've never even been in the building, let alone, I don't know how to program Pong, let alone a video game. But that being said, I do know that they have had for a while the capability of mass approximating what a map would drop.
Yeah.
Right, because they've ran tests where they do, here's 10,000 of this map, run it over and over again and show me what the average loot looks like. Like, they've had the ability to do that for a very long time. It seems like a small jump from being able to simulate what the loot from a map would look like to being able to go, okay, what would the loot from a map look like? Okay, get rid of 98% of it and then put it in.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't feel like that would have taken
You're
a whole
probably
lot
right.
of time, right?
You're probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, this league, now that you bring that up, this league seems like a very, very obvious, clever reuse of things that they've already done. Like, they've reused a lot of work, because obviously the town is from PoE 2, right? The Kingsmarch town. Then the NPCs are from Heist and from Expedition. And
The
like,
boss
that
you find in
mechanic-
maps, that's all.
Yeah, Crystal King. Just
Yeah,
reskin
right.
retool. The pirate
encounters-
boss is Darnoff from Heist, basically. But very cool though.
Encounters have beyond monsters. We have a Crucible encounter where you have to channel, right? How are you guys liking that, by the way? The return of channeling mechanic.
Fuck off.
Those monsters are tough. Holy
Yeah, they are.
goodness.
Yeah, but
It's not helped by the fact that you're like trying, because the encounter is that rare. You're like, oh, I need to get the maximum out of this. So you're like holding down the button, and then
That's it.
yeah, it's
That's
terrible.
it. I like those. I like the forged monsters returning. I thought they were pretty challenging fights and maps. I like challenging fights.
I'm fine
did
with
get-
all of that. I just
Yeah?
don't want to hold my button down for 18 seconds while slowly something from 3 screens away wanders over one step at a time and then shoots one slow projectile from the edge of the screen and one-shots you because none of your active defenses are up and you can't stop channeling the thing to deal with it or it'll launch. We already did the channeling map. Everybody hated it. Why are we doing that again? Luckily, it's rare enough that it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. It's rare and it's only one kind of the thing. But also, we did this. Nobody liked it. Don't do it again.
Right, yeah. And the other encounters? So that one is, I guess, universally hated somewhat because of the channeling mechanic. But then we
I
got
hate the tree. The tree is my least favorite.
Oh,
Those
That's a
motherfuckers never listen to me. They just ignore me and they go right for the tree. And like, if one of those rare spawns with hasted, it's just
Yeah.
GG. Like, it's
Yeah,
I don't
they
understand
eat the amber from the tree so quickly.
it's just the disparity of amount of resources I feel like I get on average from that one compared to every other thing is not even close. Like I can never keep that thing. Sometimes it'll be like in a toxic sewer and one lane spawns like a blight type scenario. 'Cause that's what it's kind of framed as. But most times it's like it's coming from 3 directions. There's going to be rares that are just really, really tanky for whatever reason. And they're going to totally ignore you. Sometimes you can taunt them. Sometimes they don't give a fuck. And then they just wail on the tree. And it's like, I'm just hitting him and he doesn't care. And my poor tree is just dying in front of me. Feels bad, but yeah.
it's encouraging a weapon swap setup. You just got to have a knockback weapon.
I'm going to swap games. That's what I'm going to do if that tree dies. I'm just going to log out. I'm going to log out, cry, then log back in and be like, all right, back to mapping I go. But it's not a big that could be a build pitfall. This is like one of those things where having any conversation about a league, I know this is like your whole thing, Balor and Cat, so I'm not gonna like shit on the format, but like it's kind of the same thing with like speculation. It's like day 3, our experience is from the exact POV of what we're playing, which is not going to be representative of the vast majority of other people's experiences unless they're playing the same build. Because what he's describing with that channeling thing, I'm max block. I could sit there, I can go take a shit and come back, and I'm not going to even take a damage while I'm channeling. So that's like no problem for me, but it's like problematic for him. And it could be vice versa. My tree problem could not be a problem for him. So it's like, this complaint is like totally from the perspective of what I'm doing.
Yeah, but that's the interesting thing about doing a podcast. I mean, it wouldn't be interesting to talk about these things if we all had the same opinion and the same perception of it. Like that's the interesting part.
No, it just makes it not
from
well-rounded, though. That's the thing, because it's just going to be a limited.
Yeah, it is somewhat
opinion.
biased. That's true.
Like,
we
by
need
contrast,
to just get more people.
Yeah.
That tree that gets hit that you hate, I don't care. I got enough damage to deal with them. That's not a problem for me.
I heard a very similar thing from someone in my community who decided to play a retaliation skill bleed gladiator build. And we lovingly call those, because you shorten retaliation to retell, and then we call it the rectal bleed build because we insert a C. And anyway, that guy actually loves the tornadoes. The tornadoes were so overpowered from the bismuth encounters that they had to be nerfed because people were getting 3 or 4 hit stun locked from the tornadoes. Yep. And that guy just has block cap, and he's like, the tornadoes don't hurt me, but they're actually beneficial to me because I get life gain on block and they prop my retaliation skills. So they're like free extra procs.
Yeah, and anyone with like heal on block or energy shield on block or whatever, they were all like getting healed by the tornadoes. Like, yeah, stand in the tornadoes.
So I'm a really big fan of like how they managed to implement these things in such a way that they are that different builds, different players have such different like detriments and benefits, and experience it so differently.
Good balance.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it needs to be better balanced in some cases, but
no, I'm saying it is that great. You're describing balance. That is balance.
That's what you mean.
It's we're all having different experiences in different ways with different builds. That's the epitome of balance.
It's good, because that means when I roll a different build later on, I won't be having exactly the same problems.
Yeah. I will say the most frightening skill in all of Path of Exile to me now is that blood orb, that the crimson ore. People, guys, that terrifies me. It just floats overhead, and it's like, I know how long it's going to take to drop on my head. But still, every single time I see like 3 or 4 of them in the air at the same time, I freak out. I seriously freak out.
Nothing to me, also. So that just goes to show. It's like,
how does it kill me?
Notice it.
It doesn't even hurt me at all.
Shit build can't help
what?
You.
You just stand in them.
I literally max block glad. I just have crap gear, and it's a skill issue.
Really a skill issue.
It's a skill issue. Yeah, it scares me.
That's fine.
Especially on hardcore.
Yeah, well, baby steps.
Everything
I'll get there eventually.
To scare you in hardcore, though.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll try that again anytime soon. I was way too stressed the entire time playing hardcore.
Yeah,
it was too much. Fair. Yeah, and with another kid on the way, I literally lost 12 hours. Like, I can't do that again. It's not happening. Limited playtime.
Playing hardcore is fun if you do it in your own time without feeling that you want to be an entertaining content creator and you want to make insightful videos and stuff like that, because you're slowing yourself down so much, and then you're punishing yourself for every chat interaction potentially with like an almost or like a total death.
Or rewarding your chat with your death. And depending on what way you look at it.
Yeah, if you're good at the game, then your death is entertaining. If you die every 20 minutes, you're never going to make it to a part of the game that's interesting to watch for a long time. Yeah. Did Catmaster call the HC content creators boring? If they were my skill level, they would be boring, but they're all significantly better at the game than I am, so they're actually entertaining. Quinn's business model. Yeah, that's true. Right. So Well, we've talked about recombinations. We talked about some stuff. Have we gone in depth into shipping? Have you guys had good returns from shipping? I've seen like an overwhelming majority of people say that shipping sucks and that it needs to be buffed. But then again, I'm like, we're 3-4 days in. No one has like the golden recipe, the golden ticket for shipping. But like as someone who's always already maxed out the town, Lighty, what do you say about shipping?
Well, there is kind of golden recipes. We literally know the numbers. So like, you have that. I don't know if you want to like show that chart thing you had, but that tells you the exact multiplier breakpoints for dust, which is the most important thing. So it's 50, 550, 8,000, I believe, for 2 times, 2.5 times, 3 times. So that's your multiplier for your flat, your increased value, which is like what you're shipping. And we know exactly what those things do, right? So if you send crops, you get currency. If you send Viserium or whatever it's called, Verisium or, you get like ward bases to certain things. So you basically could utilize this to curtail your shipping experience to your needs. Is it just going to always reduce to just currency and trade? Probably not, because there's some wacky rates out there for things. So like your chart has scarabs and stack decks, that sort of stuff is always a gamble. There's some, last league we had scarabs that were worth 20 divines. So like, you could maybe make a decent profit on that. But like, this is all like you see maxed here. And then you have 3 ships, 6 sailors each. You send them out with what you want and whatever rations you want. Kalguur is like a 5-hour ship. And it is kind of, it's solved in that regard. Like there's definitely some secrets, but the recent patch revealed some information, which was that actually increasing the risk doesn't increase the chance for like boss encounters, which I was curious about. So like the odds of your shipment being captured and your people like by the pirate guy, for example, that just is like a flat rate, I guess, and doesn't actually have to do with how much risk you're having. So there's some like interesting things like that.
I should start sending out my other 2 ships that I don't use regularly with like nothing in them.
Yeah, so that's where we don't know. We know that the fail rate doesn't affect it, but maybe there is a minimum amount of a shipment required to trigger the boss fights, right? Because I've 9 times out of 10 people I've talked to have gotten the pirate guy. I haven't heard of anyone who got the archer, and it's worth much more rare. So maybe it's like the archer requires like 100,000 value shipment, whereas the pirate requires 10,000. So that's sort of like information we don't have yet fully, which I guarantee we'll have by next week. Like pretty much everything will be solved by then, which is fine. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of micro stuff. Yeah. So
is there a third guy? Yeah.
Unless next week they bring out more stuff.
Yeah, sure. More stuff or another patch and stuff. Like every time they patch the stuff next week, I would assume that the rates also might be, tweaked in some way.
I am, however, still waiting for one person to show me a screenshot like it looked in the trailer, where there were like multiple pages of like a page and a half of gear and a whole page worth of currency, and it's like 3 pages long. I haven't seen that yet.
Don't hold your breath.
Like, someone's going to get that to show us that it can happen. I will risk a 90% chance of failure on every single ship to get that. Just to be able to clip it. I'll risk all of my shit every time. 90% failure all the time.
I'd imagine that last currency page that they showed in the trailer is a massive shipment of like blue xanthium and stuff like that. That's or maybe all the currencies. There might, even though this is a cheat sheet, I wonder if there's certain combinations that work very well. And they kind of knew that us being PoE players, we would try to manipulate that to the maximum degree. So there's probably, thousands of people out there experimenting with all these different sort of combinations. They might have realized that, and we might see those, play out, like Lighty said, in a week's time or something like that, Yep. Because this is like the basics, right? This is what you might get generally, but I bet it narrows down a little bit more specific as well.
For sure.
This is crazy. I didn't click the link. This is wild that it's already laid out in this manner, though. I didn't know.
Shout out to that
people
guy.
Are crazy.
Yeah,
people are crazy.
Whoever did that, good work.
Is this Ziggy? Did Ziggy D in his chat do this one, or is that another one?
Sure.
No, I think
so.
Is it?
I know Ziggy's been putting out awesome like spreadsheets and little like one pagers, and then he put out that awesome basics guide that blew up.
If the spreadsheet was from a content creator, it'd probably have the name somewhere.
Maybe, I don't know.
I think this is from a dude.
It
Like
seems to me like it's a community effort. Like this is too
Community
much data
effort
to collect from one person. There's probably a group like.
Oh yeah, Ziggy and his
concert
chat of like
efforts.
3,000 we're all doing different tests and everything and or combining the data. This might just be like a different community though. Whoever it is, like awesome job.
Whoever did it, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. You should put your name in it or just say, by the community.
Anonymous.
Truly. So that's the one that you were talking about, Lighty, the Bismuth Bars Ward Gear eye level 86 to Kalguur.
Yep. Yeah, you
Could
get
ship that out? Okay.
I think I probably sent like 2,000 and then 8,000 dust, and I got like 10 pieces of ID6 gear. It's all smart rolled also, so you get just absolutely absurd stuff like 561. It really makes in a way it totally trivializes an SSF crafting for like specific stuff like this, because if you just put in, for example, armor, right, you're gonna get smart rolled armor, but the various of bases is so massive, and even classes and types, that you're never gonna get something specifically you want, like on average, right? But there's only 3 ward bases you can get because it only ever gives the highest tier ones. So you're getting the cream of the crop. So it's like so easy for that. Like I can't imagine you ever doing exped to get a base and then try to craft it. It would seem like such a waste of time compared to just doing, one shipment, going to bed and waking up, and then boom, there you go.
Also, my favorite thing, the items that come out that are garbage that you don't want to use.
You feed them.
So good in the Disenchanter because they've got high tier rolls. If they're just all like high tier rolls of shit things that don't match, Rob gets them and he turns them into dust. A lot of dust.
You're describing like
back into shipping.
The beauty of this league is what you're describing, which is it has such a fluid gameplay loop of you map, get a bunch of gold, fill up your mappers, send out your mappers, fill up your ship, send out your ship, go back to mapping, little pop-ups come up, okay, check your ships, put the shit into Disenchanter, check your maps, put the shit in Disenchanter, rinse, repeat, and it's like such a welcomed break, because that was the fear, I think, for many. The second they started showing timers and the micromanaging, like, all right, I don't want to play a mobile game here, I don't have to worry, I don't have to download my Garrison app, so like whatever. But it's not like that at all. It's just like a perfect balance of doing little activities,
Well, dude, in your latest video, when you logged on and you had like all the notifications pop up, I was like, whoa, that looks pretty mobile game.
It does. No, at that point,
you
when you log in,
and
you have 10 maps and 3 ships have come back, and it's like, all right. That's where it's like, all right, let me get my coffee, let me sit down for 20 minutes and look at what the fuck's happening.
Yeah. I'm glad about that, though. That was my one fear pre-league, that it would feel like I'm being blocked in all these different places from timers. Yeah, I don't feel like that's a very good gameplay loop. So
no, it's great.
Impressive thus far.
As you're leveling your town and as you're setting up, however that feels negatively, that's the worst it'll ever feel. You have to like really hammer that point home, because it's just, that's where you're hemorrhaging gold, is by every half hour having to spend 50K to upgrade something. Like once that's done, you're done with that. All that gold you have can be used for gambling and frivolous things. But it's just that initial setup cost. That's where it's going to feel a little bit rough.
So, Kat, I don't know if I can introduce this topic or not, but
Please,
I feel like that's a really good lead-in.
Quickly adding the shipping guide to the video description because people asked for it.
Perfect.
So go for it.
So, Lighty, you bring up a great point. You do that once, you don't have to worry about it again. You can use that gold for gambling, for recombinating, whatever. What is everyone's thoughts on this going core? How would that feel in future PoE leagues? Because if it went core as is, everybody, I haven't seen a single comment saying don't go core, at least on my videos. How would that feel though, building it up every single league? Would that feel tedious?
No.
Like doing all the upgrades? You don't think so?
I don't think so.
I don't think it's tedious, but I think the problem would just become with bloat. Like you'd have to probably progressively call other mechanics and fold them into the core town system, because otherwise it begs the question, why would I ever do this when I could do that? Like there's already a lot of that in Path, and I think it's only going to exacerbate it if you have such a fruitful system that I think it kind of require if it's not rewarding to this level, it's pointless to a degree. And I think you get that a lot with things like Delve you mentioned, for example, with the massive nerf to Adorned. I think that the amount of people that are going to be delving, especially in SSF or trade, probably even worse, is going to be like way lower because it's like that kind of big ticket thing will go down. Like you have a mechanic like Incursion, for example, that was tied to Adorn, but double corrupts will always hold value because people like to double corrupt things and it's going to lead to best in slots. But something like Delve, like a lot of that, was being anchored by people farming for Adorn pieces. So like mechanics like that, I would have to start folding in, and it makes sense. Delve is mining. This is mining. There's mining involved. I think you could probably do something, but I think you're going to have to do other stuff. Otherwise, it's going to get really, really weird and stuff. Yeah,
because it's not like I was talking about this the other day. It's not like Heist or Delve, like you said. This is such a fundamentally powerful system, and if you didn't do it, you would be missing out. If it's left in as is, right? I ignore Delve most of my time unless I have a challenge to do it. Same with Heist. I don't feel like I need to do that. With this, you need to do it. It would be added to the core gameplay loop. And right now, as we're all talking about, it feels really, really good. I think I'd be fine with it being implemented as core right now. I think Balor was just like, no, not a trope, not tedious. Put it in. Yeah, I agree. It's just like a thought that I, thought would be a good discussion point.
Yep.
I don't know about this.
Yeah, sorry, you go.
I don't know about the specifics of like how game bloat and like things and whatnot, but there's a ton of mechanics I don't give a fuck about right now. But like this to me in my head doesn't even need a change. Like you could literally make this core as is.
Yeah.
And I would be happy with that. So
yeah. It's wild how polished it is. And this makes me think that, so I didn't come up with this idea. It was somebody in my chat one of the days. This might be how hideouts work in PoE 2. And they kind of lifted it as a test. Because it's so polished, I can't believe that it was developed in a 3 to 4 month period. Like, very few bugs. Everything works. They have the animations for build. I feel like that chatter was right. Like, this could be how hideouts just work as a base in PoE 2. And maybe it's not Kingsmarch because Kingsmarch is already built out in PoE 2, but it's like you get your own island instead of a hideout in PoE 2, and you build up your island just like this. That's the crackpot theory, but it would make kind of sense given how polished up this league is. Or they were just like, we really want to do well this league. Let's polish the hell out of it. Make sure it's a good launch. And if they did that, kudos. It worked for the most part. Very few bugs. I haven't encountered any bugs. So I don't know if others have.
There were a couple of catastrophic ones for a little bit, but aside, nothing too bad.
Oh, like PlayStation and everything.
That's a pretty rough one. If you can't play the game for like 10 hours, that's a bummer.
Can't name your character.
Slayer wasn't culling for a little bit. The 20.
Oh, really?
Slayer wasn't culling.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's so. There's like a little, but that's every patch. This is such a dense game, and it's a deep, rich history of large mountains of spaghetti that's held together by. So it's just that's. Fine.
I did hear Rage wasn't working on day one. Like you just weren't getting Rage from anything, which is
So the Calum's gloves weren't operating at all, and you just weren't.
Yeah,
they weren't calming, But
that's a good one.
Everything that was problematic was fixed in 2 days. So nothing too bad.
Mm-hmm.
And aside from not being able to name your character on PlayStation, there was like nothing super game breaking, right? I mean, sure, if you made a little bit of investment in Rage and it didn't work the way they wanted to, you could change that into something else and still play the build, right?
The only problematic thing you couldn't change is that you were playing on a console, but that's like more of a lifestyle like mistake they've made. But aside from that, everything else was fine.
Yeah.
Okay, I updated the YouTube description with links, so if you guys are looking for the written
beautiful
guide for the ultimate Kingsmarch shipping strats. It's in there just as well as the shipping cheat sheet. I quickly want to reiterate, there's like a TLDR under the written guide with like a couple of things that we want to like very clearly point out before we move away from shipping. And before I give my take on that going core. Total shipment value is not the same as reward value. It's directly tied to risk and not to rewards. So that's really important to know, because I had a lot of people complain about, oh, I did a shipment with X amount of value, like 3 million value, and I didn't get anything meaningful more back than if I would have done a small amount of value. That's because it doesn't scale proportionally with your shipment value, but you need to ship the goods that the towns are asking for, and only the exact amounts requested, where bars count at 5 times the value towards ore. So if they request 230 of a given ore, then you can also ship 46 bars, right? And that's the same as 230 of that ore. And yeah, and that's probably the most important takeaways here, right? Just
Yeah.
Oh, also here it says don't send both boats to the same port at the same time, because only one of them will get the favor multiplier if you cap out the requested amount. So yeah,
that makes sense though.
but also here, weirdly it says when shipping metals, only ship bars, not ore. So I don't know why it says
Because they're a 5x multiplier, I think.
Yeah.
Like they count as 5 ores.
oh, so yeah, right,
Yeah,
I
that's
read
why.
it the other way around. Yeah, but
How
just
many
because-
ore does it take to make a bar?
I don't know.
One of the
One.
great questions of all time.
Got to ask the
Check the
smelters.
town.
Go ask Dannig. Maybe Dannig will tell you, Balor.
Scholars have been pondering
It
that
only
for
takes
years.
one, okay, but it 5 times the value. Yeah, but I guess
it was
counts
1-to-1.
more. It's like real
Yeah.
life, right? Like as
That
as
stonks.
products get more processed and refined, like resources get turned into advanced stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of
That's
great real life references here, you know? In the league mechanic.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Call me out on my video. It's like I want to live in Happy Town where Catmaster lives, where everyone with higher skills gets more money.
Yep. It's good. If you haven't already, anybody, go listen to the dialogue of the NPCs. You know, chill out in Kingsmarch for a bit. Chase the chickens around and corral the chickens. There's also a few secrets in there. I found a banana. There's one
Yeah,
banana
that's good. Yeah, I
in
found it too.
Kingsmarch. Yeah. So that's very cool. So just chill out a little bit. Because if it disappears, you know, you're going to want to have to explore Kingsmarch before. So. Oh, one more thing on Kingsmarch.
Explored in PoE 2.
Yeah, it's true. One more thing on Kingsmarch. For the first time, since Sanctum League, I have instantly changed my hideout music player music to Welcome to Kingsmarch, which is the Kingsmarch background music. I don't know how they keep doing it, seriously, but it's like the music in all these leagues are so good.
Yeah.
It has a great vibe. It has I think they were going for like RTS vibes with the music. That is exactly what it reminded me of. It reminded me of Age of Empires 2 and 3. And just chilling there in my hideout now, listening to the violins and everything. Oh, so great. What do you guys think about the music this league? Good?
I haven't had it turned on, but I'm gonna after the stream now.
Is it the same as was in the trailer? Because I liked it in the trailer, but
No.
honestly haven't switched it on in game yet either.
Brother,
I just-
these
I
guys
just saw-
stink.
I just
What
saw
are you
on
guys
Twitter
doing?
That
The
Camille
same
pointed out
map
that
for 400 hours a month.
Turn
You mean
on
what
your
I'm
music, dude.
Listening
When a
to my
new
own
league-
music.
No. When a new league comes out, you got to.
Yeah.
This league too has like 6 new tracks, and they're all. I've only heard 4 of them, so the 4 I've heard are really good. The other 2 boss tracks I haven't heard. So
okay,
really
wait,
good.
so there's one for the town, there's one for each boss. Is there one for the different encounters and maps?
different encounters and maps, and then the trailer has a unique one. So I not different encounters and maps. I think there's one for the encounters and maps, one for Kingsmarch, one for the trailer, and then one for each boss. So 6 total.
Wow.
Yeah, they went all out, and it was both Camille and Michael. So they both. I think Michael did 2 of the boss tracks, and then Camille did the rest. And
Shout
it
out.
was so funny because I talked to Camille a few months ago, and I was like, you know, you should really put more violins in the game. Like, I really like violins. Forbidden Sanctum was great. I mean, he didn't give anything away, but then of course this league, violins to the max. It was so
Yeah.
cool.
Right.
So-
Just for you.
Yeah, not just for me. No, they probably planned that year in advance. Something. I'm not a musical dude. Like, I don't know how long it takes. I don't know if he can just bang it out. Like, the inspiration strikes him. He writes the music. They go record, or if it's cooking for a while. But it was good. It was good.
He's
Had to
kind of a
shout that
wizard.
out.
He's I would say he's never missed. Like, for me, I want to say my favorite has been the Delve trailer. There's one particular moment where it zooms out on the architect as all the red tiles fill out and like the music swells, and it's just so fucking cool. And yeah, he's just never that
watch.
one. That one's so good. If you ever watched the Delve trailer for PoE, rewatch that one because I think it's the most hyped one.
Okay.
And Legion's really, really good too. Those are some
I
of the
personally
real bangers.
always had a weak spot for the betrayal thing, right? You know,
Mm.
they call themselves immortal. We must show that they're not, because
Yep.
it also coincided with the Diablo Immortal fiasco, and then was later confirmed to be a 100% pure coincidence, which is almost too good to be true. But
Wasn't it gonna be called Path of Exile Immortal, and they changed it? Or is that like fake
I
stuff?
actually don't
Fake
know
news.
whether that was actually confirmed.
It's fake news. Okay,
I don't
Classic
think that was real.
Fake news.
that was fake news. Hey, that's why I asked. I didn't say it was confirmed.
Yeah.
If it's fake news, it's good fake news. But yeah, Camille also confirmed that the Kingsmarch music is the Kingsmarch music from PoE 2, right? So it's gonna
No.
be the same in both games, not?
No, different
Similar
track
theme?
in PoE 2.
Or fake
Yeah,
news.
similar.
My God.
Wait,
Okay, where did I read that? But he did confirm that the music is in PoE 2, right?
yeah, it's gonna be in PoE 2, but there's like a separate track for Kingsmarch from PoE 2. I think it's one of those, like MMO-esque situations where there might be multiple tracks that can play in a place. Whereas, usually in PoE, it's just one track attached to each area or each town or whatever. So I think he just tweeted about it like last night.
I'm gonna
something.
find the tweet in question. Just
Go
so
for
that
it.
I'm
Go for
not
it. So
Talking out of my ass.
I'll go for it.
What if I have
All right,
the
so
Keurig Battle Pass? Do I get more tracks? Can I purchase more tracks on the Battle Pass?
Very possible.
All right, okay, I'm gonna screen share this. Give me a second. Present.
We're gonna battle it out. Oh,
No, it's not
Noted,
battling it
lady.
out, but it's like
What
I
is it?
wasn't right, but the music you can hear in PoE 1's Kingsmarch will also be in PoE 2 as addition to the main piece, which you might hear at ExileCon. So there's a
Nice.
new main piece for Kingsmarch in PoE 2, but the
Okay.
PoE 1
Yep.
Kingsmarch theme is still going to be in PoE 2.
that's right.
But yeah, like I definitely recognize the layout of like where Rog is in that building, and then the pier where Tujen is, and the ship docks. That I played that at Gamescom, right? When I played
Oh yeah.
the what's the new Marauder
Druid?
called?
Oh, the warrior.
The warrior, exactly. When I played
Yeah.
the warrior and I shipped out to the island where you you fight Captain Heartland. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was exactly that layout. You spawn, you walk
Wow.
past Isla towards Rog, and then you go to the right to the pier, and I think Tujen is there as well in PoE 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to the ship, and you sail away. And I'm just amazed that it's so similar. And
Yeah.
the missing link.
It's very cool. Gwennen's gone,
Right.
isn't she? Gwennen's not there? What happened to her? And why is Gwennen still in
next
the
month.
game if
Next
Faustus is better? Oh, you think... Okay. Gwennen's going to be added?
New
Okay.
Gwennen drop just hit. New Gwennen drop
okay.
coming out.
All right.
I'm getting too
Fake
excited
news.
for this idea of like releasing little bits of the league like a few weeks in.
Well, think about what
It-
they've had a
probably
problem
not
with for the
happening.
past couple of years: retention for most leagues. So, how you instill a sense of reinvigorated attention? It's just like something like this, having so like little tidbits they drop every couple of weeks, make you
Mhm.
come back, redo your town, get more stuff.
I'm on board.
See,
Drip feed.
maybe if they weren't doing it, now they're going in right now. They're making a Gwennen quest. They're adding a new resource type.
Yeah.
Lighty's got us on it.
Yeah, they're listening to the podcast. Be like, these faded people. They know what they're talking about. We
Crap.
gotta make that happen.
Crap. We got to make this happen.
Yeah, but like you're right. I mean, I was just gonna say, wouldn't they have told us about it beforehand? But no, why would they? I mean, they wouldn't want to take the wind out of their sails for the launch, right? Like no time is as good as launch. And if they tell people, well, if you're not gonna play on launch, there's gonna be more new stuff later, then a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, I might just wait until the new stuff comes out and not play on launch.
This is their
when you left. Yeah, when you left, Cat, we mentioned like Sanctum. They did that with Sanctum, and people loved that, where they dropped in the challenge relics and a few things. So.
I was going to bring that up. So good that you say that.
Happened in Tempest League also.
Oh, what happened in Tempest League? Please, which storms were added, lady?
Well, corrupt.
Come on, you got this. Nice.
It was corrupting. I think was one of them. There was Radiant. Nice. I don't think was there on launch.
Okay.
There was a couple that weren't there when they first came out, though.
Is that the Quant one? Was the Quant one there?
Yeah, I think one of the Quant ones may have been there, but there was like they had a couple that they were. That was also because they had a whole website. That's just a whole other fucking meme. That there was the multiple websites for tracking war bands and stuff. It was a dark time. It was fine.
Oh, so much has changed.
Yeah, but Heist had some new stuff also after a couple weeks.
They had the unique contracts, right, that were added.
Yeah, they also had corpse marcher boots, whatever they call it, corpse walker boots. Those weren't there in launch, and then something else, a couple of things, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's happened.
I'm wondering about why they haven't re-added like a moving mechanic to the Atlas map after like Warbands and Tempest, and basically like they had a bunch of challenge leagues or short races where they had like different mods that were on each zone for like
Winter Heart, Descent, all those things.
Yeah, a lot. And I personally would like something like that the same map can have like different additional stuff based on the time of the day or the day in the league that you run it on. Like if there was like a shifting kind of weather overlay on the Atlas map or something like that, that'd be super cool. And I've always wondered whether that's a plan to bring back at some point. That's actually a question I need to write down for when we get a chance to interview a dev at some point. Whether they'd like to bring something like that back or what the problems are with that, like why they haven't brought it back. Because I thought that was a win, right?
I think this is, me. I wasn't here when that happened, but you see it in other games like Diablo 4 where certain things happen at certain times of the day and you got to be there for those things. And, some of the most optimal. I hate that. That's why I like PoE, because I can hop in and do whatever the heck I want in that time frame. And not worry about, I got to log on at 8:30 because these certain mods will be on that map I like to farm, and it gives these specific.
Well, I mean,
that
it
sort
shouldn't
of thing.
Be predictable. Like you shouldn't be able.
So it would be like random.
In 1 week from now, we're gonna have the perfect 7-room Uber lab layout. No, like on a daily basis, read it like fresh discovery.
And everything.
That's what I'm thinking. Right?
Okay. Yeah,
you can't punish people for not being able to play at a certain point. But do you feel like a big fear of missing out if there is a good lab day? With that example,
it's a pretty low impact. I feel.
Yeah,
I think
I was more so thinking like, go for it.
Oh, this league, I think there is something to be said about if you one minor feedback I've heard from people that I think is really relevant is this whole concept of sending out the ships. I think there's a missed opportunity with not having a ship that is 10 hours for people who work or like go to school or sleep. Like, I think that would be cool if we had that because a lot of people like. I've had people that are like remoting in on their phones because it's like I send out a ship. The longest I can do is 5 hours. I'm at work for 3 hours, but I don't want to like just have my shit sitting there, So it'd be cool if there was something like that, just to like, cater towards reality. That's a little bit of FOMO. Like imagine if you go to bed and you don't have enough gold for the night. That kind of feels bad, probably.
Yeah. I stay up.
Yeah,
that was me today.
Also, I was going to go to bed like 3 more maps in order to fill up the treasury. So
like how many people are doing maps until they like literally can time it? So all right, I can wake up and then I'll have 30 minutes left. Like I think that's probably a portion of the players are doing things similar to that behavior, which kind of is just like that's fear of missing out in a way because you're a little bit degenerate, but that's like a thing. But,
I feel that happened to me this morning. I logged on right before the podcast and I had sent out my ship, I think, and then done an upgrade last night before bed. And I ran out of gold almost instantly. So my ship is still like on a 3-hour voyage or something. I was like, dang it. Yep. So I get that. Yeah.
That's a little mobile gamey. Like that feeling that like enabling that kind of thing that's a little whatever. But that's also like that's an us problem. That's literally, that's literally just our doing to ourselves. We're self-sabotaging by thinking like that,
Yeah.
But I'm still gonna do it. So it's my
I like
life. I
PoE.
can make bad decisions. That's it.
Yeah.
I've never really understood the fucking hot topic word FOMO. FOMO is like, to me, it's like, this mechanic is so good, I wish I could be doing it, and I can't. It must be their fault. Like, I don't understand.
Well, that's not FOMO necessarily. It's just we're on the side of the privileged in this conversation. You're right. So, like, if we have the ability to play PoE this much, it's the people who don't that have
haven't
the FOMO.
always been.
Neither have I. Like, when I was working 10 hours, like a 10-hour job, like I still played PoE for 4 hours, but that's more than a lot of people have in itself. So, like, the fear is like oh, I can't ever do a 17 because I can't get a character at that level. And they feel like they're missing out because all they see on Reddit is every single post is talking how great 17s are. Like, that feeling exists throughout PoE. But
so it's not that I don't understand what FOMO is. I don't understand why it's a bad thing. In my mind, if you're causing people to wish they could do a thing in your video game, isn't that a good game? Haven't you made something that's exciting that people want to, like, what's the difference between people say things as FOMO and make it sound like it's this negative predatory thing, when it sounds to me every time someone explains it that you just want to play more of the good thing that you would enjoy. That's what it sounds like to me when people explain it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think it's only predatory when there's like we can use it to describe the leak mechanic, but it's not like we can pay $5 to have the ship come faster, and that's what mobile games do, right? Yeah. I think that's what Lighty kind of was referenced. Like, that's the really predatory bad part. I don't think it's bad in PoE, right? Like he said, it's ourselves. I think you guys are like saying the same thing, Balor. Like, it's on ourselves. We want more of it. We want to play more. It's good for GGG. Like, they've done a good job. It would only be bad if they were trying to monetize it,
Yeah.
Which, I Peepo notes, Battle Pass, maybe 50% faster shipments if you grab the QX Vault Pass, something like that, maybe. I don't know. Future League idea.
Please
yeah,
don't.
test it. Just see how it works. See those stonks go up on the Battle Pass. I don't know. It might happen. I thought that was a banana, Balor. Not gonna lie, I was like, well, he's gonna eat a banana right on the podcast. My goodness, I only saw the yellow. I didn't see the black.
Is that a banana, or are you just excited to see me?
Yeah, Jesus. Well, nobody saw, but Balor came on camera with the shirt completely undone. I was like, that's a bold look for the pod, dude.
Yeah.
It's still undone.
But no, it was like, dude, it was like all the way undone. I was like, oh my god.
One more
No,
button
you don't
when
have to
logged
do
in.
it. You don't have to do it. You don't have to. Oh, he's doing it. Okay.
It goes further. You don't see the pants, but the zipper is also down.
That's true. That's true. Okay, no. We're on YouTube.
We get what stream pays for, all right? And if they make the goal when it's time to make a video, or it's time for a podcast or anything that day, the shirt has to remain unbuttoned if they've achieved the goal.
Oh, jeez.
Like, that's
lovely.
Don't ask me why they want it, all right? That's not
right.
I did it once as a joke, and then they loved it, and now I can't stop. All right, this is my life now. Okay.
Lovely.
Yeah, you're giving Tri ideas. Tri's like, wait, why am doing?
There you go.
Look
at that
with like punishing wheels and all that.
I don't know.
Sub. I could just unbutton my shirt.
Strip hardcore.
No, because my direct reports at work, they know my YouTube channel, my stream. They might watch it. Could send it to my boss.
It's just mistake.
Yeah, I know. I screwed up really badly. Well, they're like, some of them are gamers, so they like figured it out really fast. They knew it was me. So I made a mistake. If I could go back in time, wouldn't do that. So I could do exactly what Balor's doing. Very easy. Speaking on FOMO, though, I'm very curious. The mystery boxes. You guys like those baby pets? They're pretty cool, right?
Yeah,
it's very disappointing to me to see them, because that is, to me, a real interesting missed opportunity. That
for what?
For this idea we've talked about for about 6-7 years since they added the Shaper hideout as a drop, which was it'd be really cool if there was an extremely rare drop for bosses to drop their pets. It's very similar to RuneScape. If you ever played that, where bosses have a 1 in 1,000, 1 in 5,000 chance to drop a little pet version of themselves. And I think that would have been a really cool thing. Unfortunately, they decided to never do it and then limitedly monetize it in this way. So I just think it would have been a lot healthier, because then you get people, encourage people to run maybe more fringe content that they wouldn't necessarily do. So if you had a 1 in 1,000 chance on killing Shaper or Elder or, you know, Zoff, whatever, like any boss, to get a micro version of them, people would 1,000,000,000% do it, and it would,
make
I
that
think,
one in
really
100,000. And I'd
sure.
still probably
So the
farm.
Shaper hideout's 1% for context. So like, and that, you know, you can easily go dry in that. So like something like that, I think is really healthy for the game, because it's also introducing those drops into the economy, if you're looking at it from a trade perspective. So to have it like introduced this way is disappointing for me, but it's they do look good. I mean,
I'm forever upset now, Lighty, because that sounds amazing. Oh no.
Yeah,
that really does sound great.
I love it there, and it would have been really cool to have here. Maybe they'll do. Maybe they'll do it in the future. This could. I mean, if we're being really glass full, maybe they're just testing that people like them to then add them. But I think the second people pay for them, then it's like the floodgates are open to never have them free. So
no,
I think that's past.
But no, wait. They do give out MTX that were previously paid in the shop as like Twitch drops, right?
Yeah, once every 4 months. So they could do it.
Maybe in PoE too.
To be fair, I think cyclical drops in PoE would be healthy for the viewer base. There's literally there's thousands of MTX, right? And there's a lot of them that are kind of like not super desirable, probably don't sell as well. They could easily have those just be a drop for the week. I think it probably would be an increase to viewership in PoE. Just, even if it's not necessarily an honest amount of viewers because people are farming drops, but yeah, it's a thing.
Man, that sounds so good. Now I'm not going to be able to get that out of my head, dude. That would be an awesome shit.
We had the same idea about 8 years ago for pets when it comes to fishing, because fishing was obviously a thing that was, introduced in a meme sense, and it was kind of a sister idea from when Torchlight had it, which was you would fish in game and get minor buffs and like things like that, and that had a basic quick time event function for fishing, totally minimal, not very impactful, yada yada. But we were like, well, this would be really cool to have in PoE if every map that spawns coastal adjacent or water adjacent, you could use your fishing rod, do a little quick time event, and then you can get fractal pets, because they use their color code in game off the HTML slider, so they easily could have had a crab that had color coded in all 3 sections, RGB just 0 to 255, and then you would have had a unique pet for your thing. So there was always opportunities for things like this. Maybe it's an avenue they kind of explore. Like you mentioned in the Kingsmarch, there being little Easter eggs. It's very possible that they introduce something similar. Like we have the Roa racing track. That's kind of like a hideout fun activity. So definitely they have it on their radar to do kind of little, community kind of gag things like that, as far as creating the sense of a hideout being a place that you actually hide out. Like we had the guild, the guild hideout being a thing, right? So it's like they're thinking about it, so never say never, but who knows? Maybe. Copium.
Just out of curiosity, if you play solo self-found and you go to the guild hideout, can you see other solo self-found people?
Yeah. Yep.
If you're in a guild with them.
Yeah, you could say hi to them.
Cool.
There's dozens of us.
SSF Towns and SSF Heist Town also has other people, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'd be really careful though with making those features that make the game more fun and that feel like almost that they should.
Whoa.
Wait, let me finish the sentence.
No, we're gonna cut you off, dude.
I'm very obviously they should be adding things that are fun, but I think they shouldn't be adding all the things that are fun as MTX that you have to pay for. Because I remember when they introduced the thing where you where in town when you 6-link something, it shows that you 6-linked and it gives you a big cheer and stuff like that. And then when you spam chaos, it shows the item or something like that, or you chance uniques and all those things just being MTX. They should just be rolled into the core game, maybe in a somewhat alleviated version that they don't look as fancy or something like that. But that core functionality of, hey, that guy next to me just 6-linked an item in 3 views or something like that why not, right? Like they've always wanted towns to be like a vibrant center where people come together and see each other, and why not make them a little bit more engaging and fun, and as to experiencing the game through other people's eyes.
They can if they want to. Yes, if they want to, they can. It's up to them.
And there's just been a trend of like things that are really good quality of life and like really fun additions to the game being gated behind paying money for the game, which I understand they do need to make money, right?
I was gonna say,
yeah.
They're a business, and I bet they're extremely profitable. I think when they first started doing these different types of MTX and the supporter packs, as opposed to just the armor sets, I bet Graph went up. I don't. Maybe we have access to this data, but I'm not 100% sure. But all those things, just personally, I like those way more than armor sets. I like being able to see how many of each different monster type are in my maps, or seeing a timer on my map. All that stuff, very cool. I'll pay for it, 100%. Like that's me. I'm a very simple-minded person. So
I do wish there was a suite or even some amount we could pay to gain access to literal data and metrics, because it's a bit frustrating that sort of stuff gets gated behind MTX, especially like there's some things that you definitely would want to know, like how long you're in a map, is one thing, or how much currency, but like how many of each type of rare and magic mob you kill in a map is like super useful information when you're comparing mechanics. So that sort of information being monetarily gatekept, I don't really have a problem with, if maybe there was like a better way they're packaging it than just like box gambling. I know that eventually they introduce things, but it's just the way that it's being introduced, I think, is more perplexing than the actual use of it.
Something super cool I would love to see. I don't know if it's ever something that they could add in PoE1, but it's like a character stat sheet where you could track that sort of stuff. Monsters killed, type of each monster killed, all this. I think that'd be awesome. And if they have that data, not locked behind MTX, just as on your character sheet, I think that'd be freaking awesome.
They
like in Last Epoch. Oh, they have it. Like in Last Epoch, you can track the number of Harbinger kills you've done, your number of Aberrath kills, all that stuff, your timelines completed. I love that sort of stat, I love to be able to easily see, the number of red, yellow, white maps I've done, all that stuff. I might not be like a really data-oriented person, but I like to just, skim through that sort of stuff and just be like, wow, that's really cool. That's what I did this league. Yeah. I like that compared to last league and all that. So now I'm picturing like different tabs for every league and everything on your account. Oh, no, that's too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
It would be cool.
It's all cool shit. Hopefully they do.
Well, it's broadening my horizon, because of all they've done this league. I'm like, oh, maybe all this is possible now. This is crazy. It's good.
That reminds me back of the adding a stash tab for every temporary league, that people have like a place where they can put their stuff. Because right now it would be so nice to have like a heist locker or like an expedition locker, but then like a Kingsmarch locker where your runes can go and you have access to all the other numbers.
Right now, permanently in the game, I have scouting reports, tattoos, and runes that all exist all the time right now, and nowhere to fucking put them.
And the wildcard slots in the currency tab are like...
There's not enough to fit all of the things, and they don't affinity to that tab anyway.
To be fair, it's the most perplexing thing is the fact that we have the wildcard slots that stack up to 50,000. Why isn't the currency tab just a 20 row of those? That would be so much better if you could modularly make.
Why is there not a tab that is a 20 row of those where you kind of build your own tab,
like a secondary tab?
I mean, the cynical answer is it's too storage efficient and people would buy less tabs probably. But
no, it's because it looks way prettier. Just having a fucking thing of 20 would look
I don't know if like the look matters too much. Like when you do a 5-way war with 6 slots, you have an empty slot, it looks stupid. I don't like there's things that don't look great at the moment. We just came off a Necro League where we had the amount of storage for embers not match up on the map device. So they're not totally caring about the aesthetics when it comes to that sort of thing.
Okay.
Not to play devil's advocate.
Everything doesn't work doesn't mean it hasn't come into play ever.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I got if you want examples, I can keep going. But yeah.
Talking on this like a little bit, I think it's been a while since they added an actual new stash tab. They just keep adding the different lockers. What do you guys prefer? Do you prefer the free lockers or the added bought stash tabs? Because obviously it's better for free players for the lockers. But I'd say for quality of life, shoot, I don't want to have freaking, what is it, 4 lockers now? Come on.
I prefer it was in my stash tab, but
yeah.
But, you know, then you have to pay for it. So,
yeah, I mean, I have a slightly different take, but similar, which is
Yeah.
I would rather just pay $60 for PoE, and then they just make these tabs for each league we just get.
Yeah,
At this point,
that ship has
I think
sailed.
Like a
it has,
Intended.
unfortunately. I just think that, I mean, I would have rather them just put, like, for example, you mentioned Last Epoch. They're adding, you know, unique stashes to Ellie eventually, like coming up soon, right? I don't think they're going to be charging for it. I think it's just going to be a thing in game. If they do charge for it, that's fine. But like the game has a price tag, so that's implied to be part of the game, I think. So if that's the case, like going forward, I'm okay with it being paid or not. But I just wanted to be consistency as far as like when we get a new thing to put away, we should get a tab for it. That's ultimately what I care about most.
Kat, you think there's not a possibility? I actually think there might be. Maybe like with PoE 2 coming out, new era of Path of Exile 1, maybe there is like you can buy a $60 pack and you'll get all like the stash tabs and everything, and then everything else is on top, like all the cosmetics and everything. I actually like that idea, Lighty. That's a good camp to be in.
I still think PoE 2 is going to cost money. I said that,
No
6
way.
years ago. I said
No
PoE 2 is going to
fucking
cost
way.
No
money.
way, dude. No way.
world.
Free to play is
0%
the
chance, Lighty.
Yeah, absolutely
I
not.
said it. It's out there.
If there
No.
was any chance
If-
that
if
was
even
even
for
going to happen,
the-
we
No.
would have known about it 2 years ago.
Yeah,
There's
dude, you're-
absolutely no way they'd spring
Yeah,
that
but
on
this
you.
is
That's
another one of those
crazy.
things where if you said 2 years ago the game would be a different game, people called you crazy. So I'm not going to say it's not going to happen until I see it, because every
Never say
time they
never, you
release
mean.
something new,
I'll say it's not going to
our
happen.
line changes for what was obvious looking back.
Okay.
You know,
I can see a pack happening that has all the essentials, basically, right? Where you
Yeah,
pay
that's what
this
he's
and you're
describing,
set
yeah.
up for life, kind of.
What would be the Tarkov
I don't
package
see a
if they
world
didn't-
in which
No.
they make like they gate the access to the game behind actually having to pay for the
Oh.
game, because the game is such a
Yeah,
complex
no
game
shot.
that's so scary for a lot of people to get into that it needs to be free to play in order to be like, hey, I'm going to start it and maybe I like it.
I think
But
that's
if you
PoE
have to
1.
pay for it.
I don't think what you're describing is what PoE 2 has been described as, though. PoE 2 has been described as much more, I think, approachable for the casual player, which is why they're doing so much promotion to newer players. So I
It's
don't
still
think
a
it'd be
super niche
such a
game.
leap.
Yeah, it has a much wider appeal than PoE 1. It's still a niche.
Lady,
Yeah.
maybe you're a Nostradamus. I'm on the Path of Exile 2 website. There's no free-to-play language on there anymore. And there hasn't been since that swap over to the new site, I guess.
Way.
Like it used to have like this
onto
is a
something,
free-to-play action RPG. I'm not just saying, maybe you want to put that on the page you got. I don't see there's no free-to-play. That used to be the top line. Path of Exile 2 is a free-to-play ARPG, next generation. That's not there anymore.
No,
I've
there's
on the
never
path
been
of-
wrong. So,
Absolutely
just one
free.
more time.
Okay, we have
maybe-
somebody it's free to play. It's free to play. It's
Yeah,
not on the
well,
website.
Lakey
Just saying.
We'll
confirmed,
see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Bellicate confirmed. Yeah. No, Lady.
maybe-
No.
We'll
You
see.
had me
Maybe
there
they
for a
just-
sec.
Maybe they just don't want to make the free to play like a big part of the marketing campaign, because free to play is received
Listen,
or like
man.
perceived as like something that's maybe lesser value. So they're trying to market it as a AAA game first.
The same way
and
they're
then
called beta
afterwards
early
in a-
access. I mean, it could just be verbiage. Yeah.
It's marketing. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I asked about that because I was like, oh, is this a change? No, it's just they thought it sounded cooler than beta, so we changed it to early access.
Yeah, it says FTP on the website, free to pay, because you have to pay for the game.
Right.
Obviously,
free to pay.
forced to pay. You have to pay for it. Wake up, sheeple.
Forced to pay.
The writing's on the wall.
This just means
no,
you
but
can charge Lighty and not us. So there you
Yeah,
go, Lighty. You'll be the one big payer for access.
I'll pay. I'm gonna
Thanks
pay
for funding
so
my
good.
favorite game, lady.
I'm gonna pay so good.
I was gonna say I remember there being a Chris Wilson interview where he did specifically address that and say that in some ways he wishes that PoE was a pay-to-play game because it would solve a lot of problems that they do have. But unfortunately, that's not something they can do from a marketing point of view.
Yeah.
And it's also against like what they want to do.
I get it. But I also I do have historically, there's been a lot of things they've done that they didn't want to do. We have a currency market in game right now. So there's so many examples, like literally tens of examples have been like, we'll never do this. 2 years later, we're doing this. So I just, as I always say, wait for patch notes. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
that might be the most categorically wrong thing anyone's ever guessed.
Well, how can you know that? It hasn't come out yet.
I know.
Oh, insider trading. I can hear it.
I know in my heart.
Oh no. I think that V-neck might be cutting off your circulation. I don't know.
I think if they tried to double dip, they probably wouldn't make as much money. Like Last Epoch does with the supporter packs and the pay to access the one time. Yeah. I think just going in with the supporter packs and not doing like a 30, 60, 90 model like at Last Epoch and doing the big 480 packs and then the 90, they're going to just make bank.
Yeah.
So we'll see though. They're going to get a lot of people that pop into PoE 2. Compared to PoE 1, I feel like it's going to be more accessible. Like PoE 1, it's free to play. Anybody can play it. There's no investment though. So if you get to the skill tree and you're like, oh, I'm out. What 90? What percentage of players bounce after Hillock?
A lot,
because it's free to play.
A lot.
Is it 90% plus of the player base?
I don't remember
something crazy.
It's an absurd.
But I do remember them saying statistically, if you included everyone who played, the average player never kills Brutus.
Yeah. Which is wild.
Like statistically, the midpoint, the average player never kills Brutus.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, so some of those have to like not.
That's where we
yeah,
draw
but
the
that
line.
would definitely change if it was pay to play instead of free to play, because then
it would because you're
to,
invested.
Yeah,
you wouldn't just bounce instantly.
So
there's no
what
way
you're
I'm paying
saying
$30.
If it was pay to play, we would be able to get real statistical data because we wouldn't have mass amounts of chaff clogging up our numbers.
Right.
God, this guy with his hot takes.
I have no hot takes. You had the hottest take on this podcast, pay to play for PoE 2. My goodness gracious.
Far. Yeah,
so
but then
far,
you'll be coming at me in 6 months.
What hot take?
Right. Oh my God.
All right.
Take my credit card. Take my newborn.
Oh, no. Yeah. We'll have a newborn. It's true. Yeah.
Which of you gonna name him Mark? You gonna name your child?
No,
Mark,
she's a girl. I could call her like Marchika or something.
Oh,
yeah. What's a Marky girl name? I don't know. Is there
Marky Mark? Yeah.
Marky Mark.
Margarita.
Mark.
I mean, I pitched Zana. My wife was like, no, not Zana. And then I tried. Ziggy's daughter is named after the heist NPC. What? Talina? I like Talina. I think that's a unique name. She was like, nah, you can't do that.
You should do a Manu Manu after the Lich. Yeah.
A Manu Manu. That's a good one. And I can call her like Ami for short,
Yep. That's or just call her Crystal King,
Crystal King.
Yeah. Crystal Queen. Yeah. It's endless.
Yeah. It's true. I lost it
in high school at university who had the first name Crystal, and she was not amused when Breaking Bad came out and Crystal got popularized in a different context.
Yeah. Well, I think the prettiest name out there is Isis, but I was
going to say I know someone who's named Isis, and they literally changed their name because
they did. I love that name so much, but I can't use it. My wife loves it too, so probably would have been one of our daughters, but.
Yeah,
bummer.
That name probably doesn't read too well on a job application. That's true.
No, it doesn't. No, so yeah, I'm pitching for Persephone. Not to go too off the rails here, but I think that's a very pretty name. But it's probably not going to happen.
Aphrodite.
All right,
not Aphrodite. No.
Not Aphrodite, damn.
Too much historical baggage with that. Yeah. Well, just a lot of baggage with that. I feel like she'd have a really tough time once, Greek mythology became a learned topic in middle school, high school, whenever. So
I've heard Oedipus is a good one too. There's a couple.
Jesus Christ.
If you don't know history, these everything means nothing to you.
I know everybody's like, what are they talking on about? What's going on?
You can do Sisyphus, really hard
yeah.
life going forward. Yeah.
Before we derail further, we've already name dropped PoE 2 and speculated a little bit. And recently, Tri and Balor and I have been in Los Angeles and checking out a Path of Exile 2 on console. But first, I want to hear from Lighty, because you haven't had the chance to play PoE 2 in person yet, right? Like you've only experienced it via
I've experienced
proxy.
nothing effectively. I haven't played it, so I reserve my opinion.
You do see
until
content and you talk to people who have played it. So I'm curious how your perception of Path of Exile 2 has warped or has changed over time this year, I guess, right? Like, because you weren't very enthusiastic.
I'm not enthusiastic, but don't mistake lack of enthusiasm for disdain for something I've never experienced. I just haven't played it, so I try not to form opinions about things that I haven't experienced, really. So like I'm sure it's going to be fine, but until I like how I play PoE, I mean, and just the concept that I'm going to be level 98 today, like that's more, and by day 4 is like way more than most people will probably do the entire league. So like my timeline is so out of whack for how much I'm playing that my experience is like, I don't care about leveling. I don't care about the axe at all, which is kind of like a lot of the stuff they showed. So for me, that's just going to be content I kind of blast through, which is unfortunate for the people who made it, because I'm not going to be like really taking it in the same sense. I'm going to be like, all right, let's set up a rat list by day 4. I'll play for 18 hours today, 20 hours tomorrow. Maybe I'll eat. I'll get my shit bucket ready. Like that's how I'm playing the game, right? So it's like it's totally warped experience. So for me, the type of stuff I'm interested in, they simply haven't showed yet, right? It's end game Atlas bossing. That's what I care about. They haven't showed it, so I can't say anything about it.
Do you like the bossing as in like, the farming patterns, the boss drops, or the fights? Because they've shown a lot of the fights. Are you a fan of those? How they're designed?
It's literally a means to an end for me, because I'm gonna do whatever the most efficient thing is to obfuscate all the work they put into this game, basically. So they're gonna spend all this time making so like they just introduced this patch, the Black Knight fight, which is very cool. I click on the boss, I name lock, I hold Q, and I pulled out my phone. I was looking at TikToks for 5 minutes. Like I don't even have to look. My character has outgeared the content they've introduced. So that's what I'm going to be doing in PoE 2. Like that's how
Let's see.
That's what it's going to trying to do.
It's never not been the case in 10 years of PoE that whatever, like every time they describe something as like, oh, this is going to be the new hardest, like by 1 week it's already gone. Like it's been killed. Like it's been blown out. There's really no content that's been like,
Let's clip it and send it to Mark. He's going to take that personally later.
He shouldn't be making stuff for people like me, because I'm 0.00001% of the player base. Like you should be making people like I would much prefer it if the game was actually easier and more accessible. Because I'd love to see more people who don't have a lot of time play get to experience all the wonderful aspects of the game. But there's just so much, and a lot of it's so much more difficult than people are used to engaging with. Like if you polled how many people have beaten all 7 pinnacle bosses, probably not a lot, and it's like that's content. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do 20 Uber Shapers today. Like that's what's on my docket, and that's like something that's literally unobtainable for some people. So, I don't base the game around me. My opinion is so fucking warped around this. It's like I'm sure I'll have a great time playing whatever they present to me. I'm not worried in that sense. I just haven't seen anything, so I can't say anything.
What a refreshing take.
I guess I don't know. I don't know.
It's
simply my reality. Like that's where I'm at.
Well, what about you, TalkativeTri? Have you your perception of PoE 2 changed quite a lot in LA, right? Because from what Jonathan told us, you had like a terrible time the first time around because nothing was working for you.
I did, yeah. So I was the opposite of Lighty. I was very excited about the game. I read everything, consumed everything I could about it. I made videos recapping stuff leading up to that trip in March. Bad time. Terrible time. Got my ass kicked. Wasn't getting any drops. It felt clunky as melee. There was just a lot of things that went wrong. Threw all that feedback their way. In June, it felt much, much better. It was ridiculous, the improvement that was made in terms of the way the characters felt, the way that items were dropping. I was actually getting upgrades, and there's, you know, some seeded stuff in there. Not just everything felt far smoother and cleaner. So I'm very excited for it, and I get Lighty's perspective. A lot of everybody on this podcast, I think Balor and Lighty more so than me and you, Kat, blast endgame all the time. They're farming on Twitch constantly. I'm gonna do that to a lesser extent. I do in PoE1 right now, but I'll still get a lot of enjoyment out of what they've been sculpting for the past 5 years, which is, you know, the improved campaign experience, updating all the animations, reformatting, you know, the item system, all these improvements that we just got in PoE1. It's coming from PoE2. It's the bones of PoE2 that's coming to PoE1 and improving the game. So I'm gonna enjoy all that drastically. You know, I know, Lighty, you're gonna blast through the campaign. I don't know if you like, you know, the narrative in games, or if you just want to focus on it, on like the blasting aspect. But as someone who has gone to the events and played it, and I'm trying to like blast in those events because you want to get as far as possible, I'm still like consumed by the story. It's actually really cool. And I hope that they hit that audience of casuals that you're kind of talking about and really like capture them in the world and the story. Because I feel like that's something that other ARPGs, like, you know, Diablo 4, the big one, really does well. Like, their campaign is kick-ass and then they fail at endgame. I'm really hoping that Path of Exile 2 improves its campaign experience and it's really damn good, and then the end game is just as good as PoE2 as well, or PoE1 as well. I'm hoping that like both aspects are good, so it pleases the casual player who's just going to do that one playthrough, and you know, that's good for them. They play it once, they have a great time, they talk about it in a few years, like, yeah, I played Path of Exile 2, the campaign was great, never got to maps, but it was still awesome. They're not, you know, oh, I played Path of Exile 1, Jesus, I bounced after getting killed by this dude on a beach, like he like two-shot me, I didn't know what the hell was going on. Like,
walked into a zone and 3 rowers hit me in the face.
Three rowers. Like, there was some mechanic where I channeled this fiery forge to maximum, and then I just couldn't get any farther. I don't know what was going on, so I just quit. And I went and I played D4 Last Epoch or some other game, whatever. That's what I hope. I'm very optimistic right now. They seem to realize that. I do understand your point, though. I hope they still cater to that audience like us, because I really enjoy the end game of PoE1. And I think they will. I think they understand that. Like, having Mark at the helm, someone who plays and blasts kind of like us, is really, really cool. So I think they realize
in Mark,
that that's
I trust ultimately is how I feel. Kind of, it's like,
there you go, dude.
It's I just to clarify, if I'm praising Mark, I'm not shitting on Chris. Like, it's just a different thing. But like, having someone who's a really experienced Path of Exile player and has engaged with all the content. Even if I'm playing solo stuff, I'm hearing him and hearing his frustrations with trade, and then seeing the exact results of his frustration being channeled in a massively, massively improved system for trade players, being the currency exchange market. That just means that if he's experiencing that, he's making change. Anything we're probably feeling bad about will probably get changed because he's kind of one of us in that regard, right? So it's going to be, I think, a similar experience. I just have faith that he's going to, you know, he's literally the Messiah as far as I'm concerned when it comes to this. Like, but
yeah, Balor, Cat. After you, I guess, if we're talking about PoE2 for a bit, what were your thoughts after playing it and seeing all the discourse about it?
I'll let Balor go first.
Okay.
I try real hard not to think about my time in LA playing PoE2.
Really?
Okay. So good.
Because it makes me not want to play PoE1, Last Epoch, Torchlight, Undecember, Diablo, anything. I just want to play PoE2. It's that much. It felt that much better than everything else I've ever played. I try not to dwell on it too much because I can't play it right now.
But
Look at this
despite
hype
the
lord.
fact that we had to play on a console with controller.
Still better.
Yeah, Jesus.
Uh,
It actually felt really good on controller, I'm not going to lie. I thought I was going to hate it so much. The different UI really made it feel good, and I hope that's available on PC too. I kind of like that UI.
How was the WASD the moving? You like that? Whatever.
That it felt bad in March, so like everything just felt clunky. I played like the Warrior, and I was doing WASD, and maybe I'm just bad because, you know, like Ben and Kaiser were killing it But me, I was just clunking around, going in the wrong direction.
Oh, that's like, it's just a tremendous pivot from
it is.
that. You know, that's one of those things where, like, if they introduced that in PoE 1, you'd literally have to redesign every single encounter in the game for something like that. It's like adding the dodge roll is the same thing. When you make such a fundamental change to how the engagement of like combat is, every single thing has to change now. So that's like such a huge decision to do something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. And it is an adjustment period. You're right.
Yeah.
So after playing it for a little bit longer and not like feeling the pressure of trying to capture this content and do this, I I'll probably have a better opinion on it. But it just felt clunky when I played it. Other people have had different opinions though.
Fair.
I actually haven't tried the WASD because I only played the melee monk in PoE 2, and as melee you don't have the WASD movement while you attack, right? Like, I mean, it may be different for the warrior. The warrior is supposed to be getting some of it. They discussed, but on the monk specifically, Jonathan told us that it's supposed to feel like that the staccato move and stop and attack, but that was really my biggest downside, was that the game seems to be designed around the fact that you can at any point, even while casting, like sidestep attacks and projectiles that are coming in from enemies. And if I, as a melee player who has to walk up into the face of a pack of monsters, so their travel time for their projectiles is shorter, the time that I have between me walking up to them or starting to try to attack them and them actually getting a chance at hitting me back, is much smaller. Yeah, I really would have wished I had some little sidestep during my melee swing. But yeah, it seemed to be really working well for Balor, who's been doing both minions and like some ranged wand attacks, or ranged bow was first, right?
Both, yeah. Yeah, no, felt great. Don't know why you didn't get it as melee, but it felt fantastic to me. It's okay. I'm never going to play melee, so that's not a me problem.
Like I said, it was in March, and since March they redesigned a lot of stuff. But when I did play Melee, I had that exact experience, Kat. I was just getting swarmed because I had to walk into these mob packs, and they would just destroy me, and I couldn't like kite them around a little bit, and I wasn't using my movement skills correctly. But when I was playing the monk, I didn't have that problem. I felt very mobile, and I felt very powerful. So, yeah.
Right. Any other hot PoE 2 takes? I think we hit the 2-hour mark. We should be looking to round things off and keep the excitement going for future content. I never want to dwell too long on these podcasts when everyone is already checking out and it's like, oh, no, I can't. Because some people are like, oh, I could listen to this 24 hours, but I think there's a sweet spot.
If Lighty's right about PoE 2 being pay to play, I'll do a all-for-one PoE 2 series in SSF.
I don't think I'm right. I don't think I'm right.
PoE2 being played, I'll chop off my own fucking foot and eat it.
Oh no!
I won't go that far. I won't go that
far.
I wouldn't go that far. I remember.
I just bet like $100 on the worst horse. That's more what this is. It's like at the racetrack. It's just so
racetrack.
Yeah, I expect to be wrong, but if I'm not, think of the street cred. You know.
True.
Nostradamus street cred I'll have.
Yeah.
Finally, then will I be able to exert all my attacks. You know.
Okay. One more quick speculation question, and this is 100% speculation because we have very little to go off of here. But do you think, with Grinding Gear Games being very aware of their position in the market, like technically having the best game, but not having the best game from a marketing, new player, broad, mass appeal point of view, and then taking some slices from, or some pages from Diablo's book by making it really appealing visually, bringing it up to date with the current AAA game, and also allowing people to get into the game slowly, drip feeding tutorial stuff, and the skill system simplified and all that. Another aspect that Blizzard does really well with Diablo is the storytelling, as you mentioned, right? Like getting people invested into the lore and into the world, into the characters. Do you think that we'll see more cutscenes in PoE 2?
That's what I was going to say. That's the one thing I'm really hoping for, because I had such a tremendously positive experience playing Diablo 4 while leveling that first time, because of the cutscenes, the boss introductions, like that sort of stuff really makes an experience, I think. And as much as I love that 3-second Katava clip where he turns left in Act 5, I'd really love to
Wait,
see.
he turns?
He turns a little bit. It's like I just got off of playing like
that's an
Elden Ring
optical
for like
hallucination.
in the DLC for like the 5th time, and it's truly a cinematic experience that like keeps you up at night. How insane it looks, and I'm not sure how much it costs, but like thinking about some games, like the hype you can generate with the cinematic or a cutscene is so massive. Like think about like early World of Warcraft, like any of those intro trailers for expansions were literally like some of the most mind-blowing shit we've ever seen. So I think boss cutscenes for act bosses would be huge. I think any sort of like pinnacle boss having a cutscene, just like even one time, like the first time you fight them, would be huge, because that's just gonna give that sense of awe, and it's gonna make me want to care more about what's going on thematically.
Yeah, at the very least, I agree with you, Lighty. I think the cinematic cost for Blizzard, more fake news. I think it was like 50,000 a second or something like that.
It's crazy.
It's the highest quality. It's crazy.
Jesus.
It's wild. I mean, some of those cinematics, like the last one in D4, were probably millions.
Oh yeah, where she's walking out in the hell, like that's
God. So good. And
I could literally get a movie of that.
Everything.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's just
seriously,
but
amazing.
it doesn't have. It could be.
Doesn't have to be that quality.
Pixel art, man. It could be Legos.
Right.
Like I don't.
Well, that's the thing, dude. They already do it in their trailers. They do cinematics kind of like that in all the trailers.
No, gameplay.
Put those into the game.
Exactly.
Put those into the game. They use them in all the trailers in PoE 1 even. In PoE 2, like when you first meet the Iron Count in Act 1, have him leap, pan onto him with the camera, and you're coming down the elevator, and he leaps off his throne and says, no noose this time. I'll take your head myself. Like, turn that into a cinematic moment. Just like at the beginning of PoE 2. What's one thing that everybody always latches onto as being, one of the most badass things about Path of Exile 2? The character select screen is you're hanging all the other exiles or whatever they are.
Yeah.
And you're the one that survives.
That is cool.
That's how to do it. Yeah. Like, try to do that for every act. I feel like you're right, Lighty. The boss fights and then act transitions. If anything, just do gameplay cinematics that can easily
be 10 seconds. Like, it doesn't, I'm not asking for a movie. Like, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But 10 seconds of just like, even so, like they kind of emote down to whatever, like the area, and then intros to them getting ready to fight you, like that's just like very like that Dark Souls way of doing it, where like the boss will hop down in the arena, do a little stance and look at you. Like, that's all I need. I'm like, all right, I'm going to sit in my chair. I'm invested now in what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't have to just hold Q in the boss and look at TikToks on my phone. That's like, that would get me much more engaged. And like you said, I think in-game is the way to go, because in the very sense, like we had from Total League, we know that they have the capability to zoom out. We could see our character and the whole screen. So like it could, and if anything, putting our character in that moment, I think is more personalized, because it's like we get to see our character, see what they're wearing, like see them just like from that third person view interacting with the boss. I just think it'd be more, definitely be a cool experience to have.
That would be super cool to have like your MTX and your
exactly. Yeah, it's like our guy in the thing.
It would literally just be pulling what D4 did with your character being in all the cinematics, right? Just for Path of Exile. Don't need to have that big intro and exit cinematic that costs millions of dollars. I think it would just be fun being gameplay. I think people would be pleased. So we'll see.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
All right.
Do it.
Let's go. Well, we'll give you a chance to quickly plug something that's coming out. Lighty, you're doing an SSF podcast with Manny and Leggy. Is there an episode planned that's coming up soon?
Probably, but I think we're gonna wait till we all hit 100 this week, and then probably we'll do something like this upcoming weekend. We also have Easy, who just finished all his uniques in SSF like last league, and he's playing again this league, but he has a full-time job and as a human being. So, but we'll have some podcasts soon when everyone like gets their shit together. And I'll just like, I don't really advertise much. You'll find me or not. That's fine.
I mean, I'm just saying there's people out there who probably are unaware but would be interested in such content. So for the sake of those people, I want to bring it up.
Yeah,
and,
just Google me. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, just Google Lighty, guys.
Lighty, with a Y.
PoE, Lighty Gaming. Yeah, right. Not with double E. That is the thing. Wait, there was something else I wanted to bring up. Is there a new episode of All for One coming?
Yeah, I'm gonna probably have to not stream on Friday just to do that, because I've got like I streamed for like 52 hours this weekend. It's just so it's like, you know, I have a lot of footage to go through. But yes, there is a new thing and there's some new uniques. I didn't really talk about them, but a lot of cool new uniques this league. 15 in the patch. So there's a really cool new shield off of the Black Knight. And
The block one?
Yeah. That it's like Mjolnir,
Yeah.
but on a shield. Great with Squire builds. Lol. Yeah.
Yeah, we really need that dual wield shields case on.
Yeah. A lot of fun, cool stuff. But yeah, all for one probably this upcoming weekend.
Awesome. So let's check it out. Try. Do you have a video essay plan that is highly anticipated, or are you doing more streams in this league start week?
I don't know if I'll do more streams this week. Definitely on Thursday. Not tonight, though. I'm going to go see Deadpool. I do have a few videos planned. The most anticipated, probably upcoming, because people really loved the first one, is the most famous and infamous Path of Exile players. I have another set of 5 that was really fun coming up with the first 5, and there were a lot of suggestions. Pretty sure all of you were in the comments at some point. Like, you were suggested as being on the list, so maybe one of you will show up, maybe not, I don't know. I do have someone who is 100% the most requested infamous player, and I don't know how I'm going to integrate them into the podcast in a clean manner, because I like to keep my content pretty clean for the most part. We'll see how it goes, though.
I wonder
it's
who it
not
could be.
Quinn. It's not Quinn.
Don't mention it here then. just play the video where you're in full control.
Yeah. So it's not Quinn, though. I mean, Quinn's going to be on the list. Come on. Quinn's got to be on the list. But not
Quinn's
the
definitely
most
been brought up.
infamous. Yo, Quinn's been brought up, yeah. 100%. So that'll probably come out. I'm waiting until the league hype dies down a little bit. So probably, a week, 2 weeks or so. But yeah, there will be videos coming out pretty consistently. I always aim for at least 2 a week. And I've been hitting that for, a year and a month now. So
like a machine.
Nice.
Yeah.
A well-oiled machine.
Yep.
So Balor, what are YouTube videos for the week this week?
The next one coming out real soon is a full FAQ. We did a massive document that looks really, really nice for a full FAQ for Holy Relic, because I'm getting a lot of questions about that, and they're the same questions over and over again. So answer them all in a video and a document instead of individually all day will help.
That does make sense. Because there might even be some people who watch that video and is like, oh, that's a question that I like answered that I didn't even know I had.
Yep. And then the next thing I kind of have to make some money for, but I have a build plan, and okay. I've said 100 times before, no matter what build you make, someone else has made it before. Right? You're never making the first off build ever. Like, that's someone eventually does somewhere, but like,
except the first one to make it. But
most of the time, you're never making a fully original build that's never been done before, right? However, I haven't been able to find someone doing this build idea. I haven't been able to find any videos on it. I haven't been able to find anyone on PoE Ninja. I haven't been able to find anyone in the past several leagues. I am unable to locate anyone doing the build that I plan on doing second. So it's either going to be terrible, or a new build, or someone's done it and I just didn't find it. I don't know. But I'm really excited about it, and I'm not telling anyone what it is until I get to it. But I want to make some money and then get to it, because it's a really good idea, I think. I hope.
Okay. So yeah, for obvious reasons you can't spoil it, otherwise you won't be the first one to make it.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see that coming in.
I mean, I'm probably not the first one to make. There must be someone. I'm sure I'll eventually make the whole thing, and then somebody will be like, "Oh, you're playing this person's build from 3 years ago," and I'll be like, "Fuck!" But oh well, what can you do?
All right. Yeah.
Cat, what are you doing, man?
I'm hyped for that. Yeah, glad you're asking.
Of course.
No, I have actually a bunch of things going on. So first of all, I'm streaming a lot more than I did in the past weeks and months, because IRL has been kind of busy. And as if you haven't heard yet, so this is kind of official, right? I'm soft quitting content creation as my main activity, and I'm picking up an apprenticeship that I'll be starting first of
Nice.
next month, which is on Thursday. So in 2 years, I'm going
Congrats.
to be a programmer, an application
Oh, wow.
developer with focus on accessibility. So maybe in like a decade down the line, I could get a job at GGG. Who knows, right? If I bulk up some experience. But yeah, mainly I've been staying away from content because I wanted to sort that out, because I feel like a healthy real life is the foundation for a healthy content schedule. And my content schedule hasn't been healthy in a while, so there was some real life stuff that I needed to sort out. But I'm back, I'm not vanishing, I'm not disappearing. We're going back with content. There's going to be more FATED podcasts, as that does have the highest priority, because that's something that I really enjoy doing and that I personally would be missing a lot if I wasn't continuing this. But with me being in a full-time job, I will have to restrict the podcasts to some, restricted time slots, just during the week in the evening or early in the day during the weekend. But for the most part, you guys won't notice a difference, and you'll still be able to get around one episode weekly during league start times until they fizzle out. And I hope that with me sustaining my life with other activities, there will be less fizzling out and we'll be able to be more consistent finally. But another thing I quickly want to say is, I'll spare you the details of upcoming videos, upcoming streams, but we have Gamescom coming up right here in Cologne, as a neighbor town. I can go half an hour. I'm at the what is it called? Venue? Venue, thanks. I'm sorry, blanking on English vocabulary.
You're good.
Anyway, Gamescom is end of August, like the weekend of the 25th of August, and Grinding Gear Games is going to be there. 11th Hour Games is going to be there again, and there's tons of other developers and interesting stuff happening, and it's internationally the biggest games convention ever. It's been there for more than a decade, and I went there last year for the first time with a friend. I met some content creators here from Germany. I met some interesting people, and I was able to talk to Chris and to Rory and like all the GGG people, Octavian. I was able to get a photo with Carve and talk a little bit about Last Epoch and EHG. So yeah, the night of the 20th is the opening ceremony. So this is the part where I need you all to pay attention. I really want to do a fan meetup, right? We got other streamers coming, we got other fans coming, and I'd really like to do a meetup either on the Friday of the convention, right? Or on the Sunday. And I'm going to put up a poll, and I'll release that on the next podcast, right, around that time. And I'm going to put up a poll to ask people what would be better. Do you want to come on Friday evening or on Sunday evening? And then I'm going to try and organize with one of my mods and with a fellow streamer from Germany. We're going to try and organize a little barbecuing meetup where we, bring just stuff to barbecue and we hang out at the riverside and like hopefully have a good time all together. It's all still pretty much in the air, and we need to do the planning, but I need to have the information of which day would be preferred. But that's just as an early warning. And there was something else that I wanted to bring up, but that was the most important thing. So if you want to help out or like be more involved in the planning, or maybe even like be like, oh, I want to bring a kilogram of barbecue meat from my butcher workplace or whatever, right? Get in touch with me.
Barbecue.
Huh?
I didn't think you were going to say barbecue meat. Continue.
Heroin. That's what he was. Yeah. Hardcore drugs.
Right. Yeah. Bring a kilogram of pharmaceuticals from your hospital job. Sure. We need that cocaine hydrochloride in liquid form, bottled, sealed, original from the factory. No. Don't offer drugs, don't bring drugs, but like there might be beer if you bring it. I don't know how I feel about like buying beer for everyone, but again, this is all up in the air. I'll probably do a crowdfund. If we hit a lot of money, then I'll also be able to provide everything for everyone. But it really is up to how the reception is, because I could see anything from it being 5 to 10 people to it being 50 to 100 people that come together there. So I'll have to see what the resonance is. That said, I'm going to be very poor during the apprenticeship because apprenticeships don't pay very well. I'll be able to get a well-paid job at the end of the 2-year apprenticeship. But until then, I'm still massively dependent on your support. So the people who do support are shouted out on the end screen. If you haven't supported, don't feel bad about it. I just want to bring it up every time to reward the people that do help me out, and I appreciate it a lot. But I won't be dependent on it anymore in the future. So if you guys want to see more content from these lovely creators, go support them instead, and I'll be able to get to make things happen anyway. So that's all. Anyone want to have a closing remark after I talked for 10 minutes? It feels like.
Have fun at Gamescom, man. Hopefully there's some cool Path of Exile stuff there for you to enjoy. The devs are always nice to talk to, so have a great time.
Yeah.
True.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard GGG is not doing an official meetup around Gamescom this time. Last time they did a meetup at the park, but yeah. Hope that some GGG members can come to my meetup, although it's doubtful because it's during the convention, so they're probably at the convention. Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks everyone for coming in. Have a wonderful league start time. Check out the linked guides for the spreadsheet and the written guide for the shipments. Min-max your stuff, and then pray for Chris to sanction the massive buffs that we all feel shipments may need.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Does Chris still have to sanction everything that Mark does?
I don't think so.
I think he's chilling in his hot
Maybe he
tub.
just like throws the holy water on Mark. You know, that's it.
All right. Again, thanks everyone. Oh, next podcast. That's the one thing I wanted to say. We're going to be joined at the same time, right? But in just a few days from now, on Sunday, 9 a.m. GMT, we're doing a podcast with Tuna and Arrow, talking all about the insights that we gained in the first week, where we'll probably be able to share a lot more money-making strats and like in-depth information on how to become wealthy this league, especially because Tuna and Arrow are two people who, generally speaking, excel at that. And, you know, that's going to be fun. Countdown, as always, is on bit.ly/FATED140CD, and you can find a number of links also to the different support options at linktr.ee/FATEDpodcast. Will be all down in the description. Until then, have a wonderful time. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate your time and your insight. And oh wait, no, we got to bridge the gap a little bit more. I got like a couple seconds that I still need to talk because I didn't link the new outro file into this. So, well, does someone want to say something so I don't have to talk? Wait.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. We really appreciate you joining us at 5 a.m. because I know a lot of you Eastern time people were watching right now.
Yeah, tune in next time. Faded.
That's not you, is it? 5 a.m.?
Oh, yeah, we're fucked.
Yeah, we're 5 a.m.
Jesus.
I'm going to see a movie tonight, too. It's going to be rough.
I took an edible before this, so I'm just trying to maintain right now.
Holy, that's impressive. I tried those for the first time this year. I could hear the cars on the highway a few miles away. So it was too much.
That explains the take about PoE 2 potentially being paid.
I remember saying that, to be honest.
Oh, well, there you go.
I assumed that was someone else.
All right, everything's
roll
fixed.
credits. All right.
Yeah, but now that you said thanks to everyone tuning in and everything, also thanks GGG for coming through with this league. You know, like there's a lot of things happening this league that just a year ago we never would have thought possible in PoE 1, right? We thought that was strictly against ideologies and all that, but really massively appreciated the pickup range, the waypoints, the gold, everything tying together. It's a beautiful experience, and I can't wait to play more after this podcast. But first, I'm going to make sure that it's available on all platforms, as always. Have a wonderful time. Until next time, roll the credits. Bye-bye.
I know a lot of people want to send blankets or water. Just send your cash.